Welcome to the Fresh Squeeze Podcast.
Welcome to the Fresh Squeeze Podcast. Girl, you looks good. Won't you back that ass up? You's a fine motherfucker. Won't you back that ass up? You got a stupid ass. Yeah, make me laugh. Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's exactly what I needed.
Why did you suddenly become like Al Capone towards the end of that? Just curious.
It's just how the lyrics are. No. It says literally, girl, you looks good. Won't you back that ass with two Z's up? You's a fine motherfucker. Won't you back that ass up? You got a stupid ass. Yeah, make me laugh. Yeah.
Hey, everybody's got their own style.
True poetry. Makes me want to cry with joy.
How's it going, Rasaki? Thanks for coming back.
Hey, Ryu.
So, we went over and switched last time the format that we were doing. You know, all of it, really comes down to the partners just kind of giving these ideas to us. Marketing is their thing. And I don't even know who our sponsor is, but they told you, right, Mike?
Yeah, they did. This episode of the Fresh Squeeze Podcast is sponsored by Measles. If you don't get vaccinated, they'll make sure your corpse is bloated and unrecognizable, just like God intended.
Wow. That's kind of weird being sponsored by an infectious disease, but, I mean, how do they even make their money?
Well,
Conservatives. By giving people measles, obviously.
Hey, all I'm going to say is, hey, if they're willing to sponsor the show with that sweet, sweet cash, I suppose I don't really care where they get it from. I mean, last episode was the Eskimo Mafia, so.
Yeah, exactly, and we don't want to know where they got their money from.
Dang.
Well, although I do hear the blubber market is pretty good nowadays.
That it is. So are you just driving out in traffic there, Sloops?
I'm stuck in traffic right now because I don't know what's going on ahead, but
it looks like the cop there was some lighting going on there.
But the police, I believe, are after somebody. I don't believe it's me. But
oh, okay.
I hope it's not me. I don't have change for this toll booth either, so
really?
Okay, now the police are after me. Now the police are after me because I just rear-ended.
Oh, you just rear-ended him?
It's confirmed he's in Illinois.
Right. So, anyway, we kind of switched up the format, and this first hour we're going to be going over some news topics, hand-picked, hot potatoes, most of them, I think. So, yeah, we're just going to kind of start reading from some articles and then have some discussion on current events and kind of things that are going on. So, for this first one, you want to start us off there, Mike?
Can do. Excuse me. Girls, you looking nice. Won't you back that? Never mind. Anyway. Samuel, Ace Gamer Sam Gerard, owns a lot of video games. The 32-year-old Quebecois has
Hold on here. So, this article is about a Twitch streamer that just became the first person to beat every N64 game.
I was getting to that.
Well, I get that, but I want to make sure everybody knows that we're reading from an article from Kotaku, and then we're going to go over and discuss afterwards.
Right.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, I just wanted to get to the word Quebecois as quickly as I could, so I could mispronounce it on purpose.
Quebecois.
I want to piss off our Canadian viewers. Okay, so the 32-year-old Quebecois has a vast library of classic console titles, including complete collection of North American Dreamcast and N64 games. 5 years ago, with a fledgling Twitch channel, Gerard began streaming the Nintendo titles to a tiny audience. The audience quickly began to grow as he set out on his goal to complete all 296 of them, a feat no one else has claimed to have done before. As of last week, half a decade later, Gerard has completed this monolithic task, based on rules agreed on by a Discord communities of others attempting this completionism task. The streamer has beaten every Nintendo 64 game released into North American shelves, including Superman 64.
Dang. That is one heck of a feat. I'm going to continue on here. He says, I got some of my best numbers playing the worst games for the N64. It's a good thing because it kept me going through the worst parts of the challenge. 296 is an awful lot of games, and while some would be a slog, there had to be others we'd never played otherwise that really surprised him. I had the chance to play games that I never had as a kid, or had never heard before. So this crazy task complete, he's done, right? Surely? Well, no. Gerard now intends to start a new challenge to complete all 200 games featuring Sonic. Wow, which sounds fun. I don't know about that, but until you realize that means multiple re-releases of the same games, and you know the 3D ones. I'm scared to discover games like Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, Sonic and the Secret Rings, or Sonic and the Black Knight, he tells me, as well as spin-offs like Sonic Labyrinth and Sonic Shuffle. You can watch every game of the complete N64 completion via Acergasm's YouTube channel, and keep an eye out for, obviously, his Sonic adventures there. So, what do you think? Do you think you can pull it off?
Just to correct you, you called him Acergasm. It's Ace Gamer Sam.
Oh, it's not. It looks like Acergasm.
Acergasm.
My bad.
It's not though.
Ace Gamer Sam.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
And it looks like nothing like Acergasm if you can read.
Yeah.
Who says I can read?
Right.
I'm only assuming you can read because I value your friendship.
What up? I'm Jared, 19. I never learned how to fucking read.
Right.
I only recognize shapes and stuff. Shapes.
I only recognize the laws of nature, but I can still go to prison.
So that's the picture of the guy right there. He looks not excited enough. I don't know. Like, I don't know what that moment is capturing there, but I think I'd be a little bit more excited if I actually completed that much of a crazy streaming feat.
That's the face of a man who knew he had to play Superman 64 at some point.
This is Superman 64 right here.
He looks like he's been holding it this
I
entire
gotta share my
time.
screen. There we go. Ooh. You guys see that?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip forward a little bit. This is a 5-hour stream, but
Yeesh.
dang, dude.
Let's sit and watch all of it.
Yeah. He just beat the crap out of that guy.
No,
yeah, but he can't fly through a table knowing that it's freaking Superman. Okay. I see why this game is getting criticism, because I was gonna say,
How's that
as a
even
Superman
possible?
guy, I was getting a little offended at first, but I'm like, oh, okay, I see what the problem is. Wow, that's a god.
That game looks really bad.
Just an app.
It's
God.
really not a good game.
Right?
He's not even punching people. He's just like
Flying into them. The fact he's taking damage from bullets, I think, is the biggest problem here.
wow.
I mean, it
that
is
a
Superman.
terrible-
They have to save on character models, because like every single one of the enemies is just like a black something or other, like a blob. That's pretty funny.
That's racist.
All right. Well, that, I guess, concludes the... I don't know. Do you think... I guess my last thing is, anybody in here, do you think you could stream every single N64 game? Or even any console, period? Do you think you could get through every single one and complete the game, like, on any console?
I'm not even sure if I could actually like stream every single game without completing them. Like,
Really?
Well, I mean,
that
gaming now-
by itself would just be a long endeavor. Like, if to get through the first level of each game or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
How many
that
hours
and
would
not
that
to
be?
mention, yeah, and not to mention, that's not even like how games are even made anymore to be beaten. A lot of them is just kind of you're at a certain point and you technically complete the game, but at the same time you don't, and then you practically never do because a lot of times they're multiplayer games. So like in Call of Duty, you can beat the campaign and like, oh, I beat the game, but no, you really didn't beat the game. No. So yeah, not to mention it's about the achievements, the PSN trophies, the Xbox gamer points, and the Nintendo. Oh wait, Nintendo doesn't got one because they're a little behind, knowing them.
Yeah.
Well, it could be stated that you haven't truly beaten a game until a 12-year-old says he fucked your mom at least 7,000 times.
I don't know if that's true, but I'll let you hold on to that truth. That's a truth for you. Is that your own bar that you hold for just various games you play?
Oh, definitely.
Since you have into a lobby, someone calls you the N-word.
No, that's kind of funny. Like, I was playing this project. Oh, it's Project something or other on Steam. It's a free game, and
Zomboid?
No. It's a free game. Project Zomboid is pay. Yeah, but I was going to say Project Winter, I think is what it's called. It's essentially like a kind of like imposter game or whatever. We didn't like even know how to. Yeah, essentially, it's like a different version of Among Us. Well, anyway.
Oh, I heard a bunch of Asian players like took that game over, like Chinese.
Oh, really?
Project Winter. Yeah. Well, it's like you're on a boat, right?
No, I don't think so.
No. Oh, maybe I'm thinking something different. Okay.
There was a different game that did essentially the same thing, but I think that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
But anyway, this one is free to play, and I remember going in there and had some people on my team or whatever. Or I guess there's not even really teams. There's just kind of like everybody's there and you try to figure out who's the killer. Well, some people just like started saying that we were racist, and we're just like, dude, we don't even know your skin color.
How could I be racist against you?
How could I possibly be racist when I don't even know what your skin color is? He's like, oh no, that's racist. It's like, what the fuck, man? Oh shoot.
Racist.
I mean, it could be easy to make fun of the Chinese, but that would be razy racism.
Yeah.
And plus, that would decrease their social credit.
Well, that brings us to our next story. And I'll start this one off. Crypto guy says desperately poor people could be NPCs in video games. Wow.
What?
Do we have any initial reactions to the...
I mean, there's people in real life that are already walking around like NPCs, so...
Right?
Yeah.
Technically,
I got one. Kenichi, what?
Say what? So
honestly,
anyway,
I'd rather be an NPC than have main character syndrome.
We are going to check out this futurism article, and then we're going to discuss. So, Axie Infinity, a play-to-earn game that allowed gamers to collect tradable crypto tokens by playing it, became a way to make money when hard times hit during the COVID-19 pandemic. In the Philippines, in particular, where the average income is low, thousands of gamers found a new way of earning cash and mining in-game currency in Axie Infinity and trading it in for real-world fiat money. Despite games like Axie Infinity becoming victims of the crypto crash, the game's tokens became particularly worthless earlier this year, with its in-game economy collapsing like a house of cards. Crypto advocates are already wondering what's next. Some players, Rest of the World reports, have already exploited the wealth gap between the Western and developing world to build quote-unquote guilds in Axie and the similar game critters, sometimes employing hundreds and taking a cut of their proceeds. You want to pick it up there, Mike or Dylan?
Dylan?
Yeah. Sorry. My computer's acting weird today. Come on. Come on, like that. Okay. I think in the Philippines, they were able to earn just enough to where it was worth the while. the head of one of those guilds told the rest of the world, in Latin America, it was hard to recruit because they weren't willing to put in the work. The guild didn't see a problem with any of this, arguing it's a worthwhile way to make money, not soul crushing repetitive labor. Despite this litany of failure, one crypto advocate has an even more ghoulish suggestion: exploiting the wealth gap in the developing world to fill future games with human-controlled non-playable characters, or NPCs. With the cheap labor of the developing country, you could use people in the Philippines as NPCs. Makai Kosher, an NFT gaming consultant, told Rest of World. These NPCs could just populate the world, he said, or maybe do a random job or just walk back and forth, fishing, telling stories, a shopkeeper. Anything is really possible.
Yeah, so that's pretty grim. That's very capitalism of him to say something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think they could actually do it? Do you think they could actually do it and pull it off? Or do you think that the people in the game would just be kind of fucking around and not like doing anything?
I could see somebody just doing like the most obscene like things that they could probably get away with in the game with minimal consequences compared to what they could do in real life. Because that's literally what trolling basically is. I mean, that's just trolling. That's just trolling in like 3D right there.
Kinda, yeah.
Saki says, we're the main character of our own lives. That guy'd be the guy I would punch every time I see him if I were an NPC in my life.
I feel like this just really reminds me of that really shitty movie called Gamer, where like didn't they have that like free city thing, or it was like basically it was kind of like Second Life, but like with real people.
Yeah,
and you got to like control them, and then there was like that scene with the really heavy, overweight dude like slathered in cheese sauce that was playing the hot girl and like using her to seduce other people. I feel like we would end up in a scenario like that.
Something like that.
Dang,
or
dude.
With a lot
with grilled cheese. That movie was actually pretty awesome though.
There's some good parts about it.
I mean, Jared Butler, you can't go wrong, and then Michael C. Hall.
Honestly, so I love Michael C. Hall. I just don't like the accent that he was doing in that movie. Everything else was good about his
voice.
That's not how he actually talks. He has like this.
It is.
That's not like he doesn't talk with that same kind of emphasis though. Like he had like a country like southern draw that he threw in there.
A little bit of a weird country sound.
Yeah. I've seen him in interviews. I'm pretty sure that's not his. I'm gonna have to look this up after this just to make sure.
He's from North Carolina, so he's gonna have a bit of an accent.
You better pull over before you look that up. You shouldn't be texting and driving.
I am pulled over.
Here,
I'll turn my flasher on. Make sure my flashers are on here. So, actually, that's kind of annoying. I can hear it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up, but it's more than just a southern accent that he has. It's like, and it's not a North Carolinian accent or anything like that. It's just
Carolinian.
Like Carolinian, yeah. I don't know. He sounds weird in that movie to me, compared to everything else I've ever seen him speak in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that this is pretty messed up. The suggestion in my mind is just kind of off the wall and not really taking into account like what jobs should constitute. I mean, especially when you can just like create a bot that does pretty well the same exact thing. And I guess whatever, if it's a case of, oh, well, this is, something people can use to make money in other fashions. There's also that side. It's like if somebody really wants to be an NPC, I suppose there should be avenues for somebody to do that, but it just seems kind of bleak to me.
I mean, if they put a job posting out there and somebody signed up for it and they're getting paid for it, there's nothing wrong with that, I guess. But it's just the feasibility of it and like what is this person going to do as an NPC, or like, oh, I can't do this mission right now because it's not between like 5 to 9 or whatever. Like, because this person that the person that plays this NPC isn't working right now or something. Took a sick day.
Just be a stripper. Just call it done.
Well, and here's my thing is, okay, let's say that they do decide to make certain people NPCs. I mean, granted, you have to have the development team, which most gamers aren't, or most game companies aren't creating machine learning type algorithms. But hear me out
I
for a
mean,
second. I'm just saying, like, they could just pay somebody to be the NPC and act out a bunch of various unique tasks within the world. And it would be a very easy, just, okay, I'm just recording everything that you do within the game, like all of your coordinates, all of your speeds, the voice that you're saying when you talk to other various people that who are playing as NPCs or whatever. Maybe it's a script. You're just going to record that, and then you can run that even on a loop and put a randomizer. Like maybe they could record them for a whole month just doing random tasks, so they have a month's worth of data that they're just walking around in the world or whatever. It's like, what's the feasibility of them not just saying, okay, well, we've kept your data for like 4 months that you've been employed as an NPC, and we just don't need you anymore.
yeah.
That
Dude,
might be a
why is my
problem.
why is my NPC such an asshole? Dude, that's just what the algorithm like got from you. Like
Right. Dang, man.
If I were to be an NPC, I'd like to be a shopkeeper.
A shopkeeper.
What?
Because the shopkeeper always has enough gold to buy all the junk from the player.
It's gonna be like a medieval 7-Eleven, like
Pretty much, yeah.
cashier.
All right. Well, yeah, that's another happening. Crypto guys seem to think that they can just keep people as NPCs. But this next story, I think affects pretty well everybody. So let's go over and get through this. The headline is YouTube Free is silently testing 5 ads instead of 2 before your video starts. Thoughts, concerns?
I'll never use YouTube again if that happens.
Seems like that a lot of people might do that. What do you think, Dylan?
YouTube anymore. My lord, what has it become?
Yeah. Well,
Like, I mean, and I just remember like the whole controversy with Team 4-Star. That was probably one of the most fucked up situations that's ever happened on YouTube. And for those who don't know, Team 4-Star is a Dragon Ball based YouTube channel
oh yeah.
that did online streaming, and then they were also well known for doing these skits called Dragon Ball Z Abridged, which I watched every episode of them, and they were hilarious as hell.
Are you
So what
talking?
happened-
Are you guys talking about Bandai and like how they basically just fucking deleted people's channels?
Yeah.
much.
Not just that, it was also it was Bandai, and there was somebody else that was involved too, and then after that they put a copyright strike on the channel, which ended up getting the channel almost completely banned off YouTube and having all over the world really trashed. But luckily, what they did was they just agreed to no longer do Dragon Ball Z Abridged, because apparently, even though that literally in every single episode that they start, they literally say that Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball TV is owned by Akira Toriyama, yada 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 yada. Please support the official release. They put that in every single episode, but yet, and not to mention, in Dragon Ball Xenoverse, the multiplayer Dragon Ball game, you can like be a Saiyan or a human, and basically go through the Dragon Ball Z storyline as a time patroller. All of the voices, there's select voices that your avatar can have. Members of Team 4-Star help them with that project of both Dragon Ball Xenoverse and Xenoverse 2. But
Yeah.
again, despite all of that, and they followed the rules of the copyright rules, Bandai was like, fuck you, copyright strike, screw you. And that, my friends, is what happened to Dragon Ball Z Abridged and why it got canceled, because they did all the Saiyan saga, they did the Frieza saga, and then they were on the verge of getting the Cell saga done, and then they were going to do the Majin Buu saga. But then right before the Cell saga was about ready to come to a close, that's when all that happened. And they did end up finishing they did end up finishing the Cell Saga, but they never did the Majin Buu Saga because they were threatened to have their YouTube channel completely banned from YouTube because of Bandai.
Yeah. So that was
So
like a
yeah,
whole separate story outside of this story about the 5 ads. But
but yeah, but that's just
YouTube
one thing.
is getting, I think,
It's
a bit out of control.
yeah.
Like, so it wouldn't,
We
if they actually communicated, I'm just saying, like, the biggest problem with YouTube is that they do these various things to the channel, these, creators, and then you don't really get any feedback as to why they're doing it. Like, sometimes it says that you're, very clearly making a violation, but then a lot of times they just kind of make decisions on things and then, kind of go back and forth on it. There was like a recent story about this kind of bigger 14 million subscriber channel where this guy was claiming that, YouTube is doing favoritism, and he even actually accused them of racism because, he's a black guy and they didn't do the same content restriction, like 18 plus or mature content restriction on a white dude's channel or whatever. But I don't know that I, in the same ballpark as what he is there. But to be fair, even if it wasn't racism, it, and it most likely isn't, right? Like, there's not probably like a covert kind of racism going on over it in YouTube, but the people that make the determinations of these copyright strikes have their own biases. They are human. So anyway, the reason that you could even make that accusation is because they never tell anybody. Like, they just keep quiet about it and then just stay stuck on these various different decisions, even though many times it's extremely kind of messed up and not popular. They'll just, stick to their guns and won't explain as to what's going on. So then people speculate, because all you can do is speculate. They're not coming out with an official message as to why they, banned Actman, for example, on like a bunch of stuff regarding this Quantum TV debacle that happened. And then there's been a recent one, like I said, with that one guy who's got 14 million subscribers. I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head. But anyway, he is accusing them too of just like, hey, what am I to kind of speculate here as to why I'm getting this, focus on my channel in negative fashion when other channels aren't getting the same, criticism. Were you trying to say something, Shloop?
I was just gonna say the only thing I can see like a problem with the Dragon Ball Abridged series was they kind of were essentially just like recreating their own version of the show using Bandai's characters. Like all the characters are still named the same. They're kind of just like doing their own unserialized version or of the show, and I kind of see why they would have had a problem with that. But I do think that like the way they were doing it did fall within like fair use. But I see why they might have a leg to stand on like legally, because it's kind of like, I don't know, if the Chinese just decided to make their own knockoff version of Dragon Ball Z and just at the beginning of every episode been like, yeah, we're crediting this to the original creators, but we're still making our own show and trying to make money from it. Maybe that's their logic behind it.
Right.
Well, well, I mean, I can see where you're coming from on that, but the weird thing was, if that was such an issue, then why did they wait until they had like literally like 4 sagas in one, and not to mention again they helped with the Dragon Ball Xenoverse project? It doesn't make sense.
Business
Yeah.
has changed though, so like
Yeah.
that's
It could be somebody, whoever was in charge, just like somebody else, like became in charge of handling that kind of situation, and they were like, "Nope, we're not going to allow that."
yeah. So then they had to kind of retroactively go around and punish channels for things that they feel like they should have been punishing all along.
Like I can't open up my own Well, I can, but I can't open up my own Amazon store and start selling like Disney shirts, but call them like, oh, they're Disney shirts. They're not Disney, even though the logo looks the same and all that stuff. Like, kind of like I could see why they might consider it copyright infringement. even if it's trying to take like a different creative direction with it. But oh, you fucking asshole! Sorry.
He pulled right in front of you, dude.
Yeah.
Oh. So I'm going to actually read.
road
I've got
rage.
this kind of going back to the 5 ads. I think we've very clearly stated that YouTube is kind of off the rails lately anyway. So this is kind of just a little bit like, okay, guys, you're definitely once again not reading the room. People are getting fucking pissed about this shit.
And also they're hypocrites too, because they'll pull that
Excuse me.
shit. They'll pull the copyright shit, but at the same time, they'll spam you with ads of clear ripoffs or misleading ads of like shitty mobile games.
Yeah.
So they'll allow that. But then also they will also strike YouTubers for having sexual content. Like I remember a YouTuber got a ban strike on his account because he was streaming Cyberpunk 2077, and we knew that game was whacked to the max glitchy, and a guy's junk got exposed because the game got so super glitchy, and he got a pornographic strike on his account.
How was his junk exposed?
He was driving or something.
He's
he was
just
trying to
sitting
drive
there
a car.
without any pants on.
Well, no, his character, not the guy actually playing.
His character, yeah, his character.
There wasn't a technical glitch that caused within real life his dick to fall out. So.
No, but yeah, it was his character. His junk came out, and then he got banned, and then he got a warning on it or something like that. But then at the same time, they'll show you ads of like girls with their tits bouncing around and like poorly edited ads of like shitty mobile games. I'm like, okay,
right.
so you'll advertise this as an ad when we never want to play these shitty games that you try to put down our throats, but you'll give a copyright to a guy that was just trying to stream because the game is so shittily made and not finished. You're going to do that? Like it's hypocritical.
Do you know what I'm kind of surprised at? I'm kind of surprised that the word junk and also titties has been multiple times mentioned, and Mike has made no comments.
Well, I'm taking the high road here. Okay,
I'm the high road here.
There's always a first time for everything, I suppose.
Yeah. I'm just surprised. That's all I'm saying.
The word titties just kind of loses its impact when it's so frequent.
Well,
but
you gotta
at the same time,
you gotta follow it. You gotta precede it with ass in, and then titties, and then that's where the charm is.
Ass titties. Ass titties.
I knew I'd be able to get him going with that. There you go.
Well, sure, but still. Ryusaki and I had a discussion earlier, actually, about titties. Ryusaki, would you mind regaling the gentleman with some highlights of said conversation while I continue with that?
Ryusaki says there is no such thing as a high road in this case.
Well, there's definitely a low road. There's definitely a low road.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's called lollies.
Oh, geez. We haven't even got to the YouTube.
Dylan, go to your room.
I'm already in my room.
Yeah, like how tits are the best. Exactly. That's definitely a highlight. It's are indeed the best. But I explained to her, there's no problem in the world that titties can't solve.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
She countered with sometimes you just need a screwdriver. But if you have titties, somebody else will do the screwdriving for you.
I'm just picturing somebody right now, like, there's a brain surge, and he's like, I can't fucking fix this guy. I don't know what the problem is. And somebody just whips their tits out, and he's like, that's nice, but it's not really helpful.
There was an entire episode of Scrubs about that.
Oh, was there?
Yes. Like, literally, Elliot decided she would flash a young guy.
I appreciate it, but you're not helping at all.
I think he was like I think there was this Make-A-Wish kid. One of the doctors whips out her boobs because he wanted to see some tits. And then, like, somebody else somebody else saw them, and, like, his heart palpitation suddenly stopped.
Because his heart exploded.
Yeah, so she found out that her tits can cure diseases and shit.
Oh my gosh.
And then she overhears a coding patient that doctors are trying to revive with the paddles. And
Oh, no.
he says, all right, he's gone. Call it. And she runs in. Wait. Whoosh. Throws out her tits. And he's like, right. Time of death.
Oh, man. Well, on that note,
Flatline.
YouTube Free is silently testing 5 ads instead of 2 before your video starts. YouTube users who are not subscribed to YouTube Premium will now receive up to 5 advertisements to be watched before your video starts.
You know what would make those ads better?
Tits.
Titties.
There you go.
The news broke out when several YouTube Free users started complaining on Twitter and Reddit that they had been receiving 5 ads instead of 2 before they could watch their YouTube video. For several YouTube Free users, they reported that they have received 5... Why does this keep repeating itself? This is definitely from China.
You copy and pasted about 6 times, probably.
Yeah, I must have double copied it. Anyway, regarding that matter, YouTube has issued an
Chinese.
official reply on Twitter acknowledging the situation and stated the new 5 ad phenomenon could happen to YouTube users with the company's certain type of ad format called bumper ads. As explained by YouTube, these bumper ads are short form ads on the platform that are typically 6 seconds long and unfortunately unskippable. Currently, not all YouTube Free users are experiencing the 5 ads before your video starts situation, so it seems like YouTube is currently testing out the waters among selected YouTube Free users. So, they are just doing a lot of unpopular stuff, including not showing titties.
Well,
Well,
speaking
Mike,
of
you know what we
titties,
need to do.
Jason, I am going to send you a link here to a GIF. Now you put that on screen briefly, if you would.
Is it titties?
Yes, but
Yes.
it's proof that tits make everything better.
Have we checked with the sponsors? This is okay.
I can
or-
assure you that it's not pornographic.
Yeah.
It's covered up, but
We'll show it over here.
Oh my god.
Nice.
that scene from Spider-Man.
That actually probably did make that scene better, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Well, Mike,
mean,
the ads are
first
starting to
of
take
all-
over.
First of all, just to say, he's being a very bad superhero in this because people are running in his direction. They can clearly see what he's doing. He's tearing his shirt open, revealing that he is, in fact, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So the titties just kind of cover up that blunder.
But they don't know who he is.
That
Right.
doesn't mean anything. They could see him on the street again. Granted, it is New York, so not likely, but still.
Well,
They've-
all we know is that the ads are taking over, and Mike, you know what we need to do? We need to find PC Principal. He knows how to stop these ads.
Hey, how's it going,
Inflatable
Hippo? What up?
I mean, so like, I think the problem here is basically we thought that the internet was going to be the solution to not having to watch ad breaks on fucking cable TV all the time, and they tricked us. They got us again.
They got us.
You
They
weren't
fucking got us
supposed to
again.
join them.
You were supposed to be better.
I don't know about the whole ads thing because I literally watched all of Beavis and Butthead Do America on YouTube the other day without a single ad, and
I mean-
it's supposed to be free with ads.
They got to
You're
make
just
money
lucky.
somehow. Well, and sometimes that actually does happen. Like sometimes you get a lucky roll and you don't get an ad for a while. But I mean, I don't know. They got to make money somehow, so I kind of understand it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not able to give the content for free, but there's a certain point where it's like, okay, how much revenue do you really need to make? And that comes back to the whole like capitalism is based on businesses just exponentially earning more and more income every single year. So
Yeah.
it can't be that. All right, this year we made $5 million. Next year we made $5 million. That's considered a bad thing. They're supposed to be growing every single year. Like they need to go from 5 million to 6 million to 10 million and like keep gaining more and more like growth. Just sustaining their current business is not good enough. This motherfucker,
Run in India.
these
There's even
yahoos trying to cut me
channels-
off.
I mean, there's even channels that have like sponsors built into the videos because the YouTuber is, sponsoring that advertiser. But
the ads don't even pay the people like who make the videos very well.
Yeah, and they slap it on top of that. Like, for example, I was watching Death Battle this one time, and they always do a sponsor. And then, despite having a sponsor at the beginning of it, and I think like just before like the actual battle happens or at the end of it, YouTube's like, "Hey, you like ads? Guess what? I'm gonna throw an ad within an ad." God, YouTube is just out of control. They need to chill with the ads, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Look at Ryusaki over there using Opera GX.
Opera, it's opera, isn't it?
Pretty sure it's Opera. Because gamers aren't fancy enough to actually go to the opera.
I've literally heard Charlie call it opera. I've never heard anybody call it opera.
I have
This
never
one-
once
Charlie.
ever heard it called opera.
I'm going to call it Opera
This-
because I'm right.
This one I'm gonna fight you on. This one.
You're getting kind of.
You may have won on McAfee. This one I'm fighting you on.
It's not McAfee, it's McAfee. That was
Oh my god!
I know.
What?
Okay.
What?
All right. Well, I'm in the process of driving to McDonald's, so.
I mean, McDonald's is right.
Just go to the Chinese buffet.
Oh man!
I'm going to solve this.
He's
right
going to
now.
Google Translate or something.
Not Google Translate, no. Let's see.
Oh.
Alexa, what is? Oh.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure
browser.
I've been
Interesting.
in this same conversation, but for different words, many times in my life. One time, these guys outside a bar about got into fisticuffs because they could not agree on the pronunciation of, and I don't even know what the pronunciation is. I'm just gonna say snus. Snus.
Snooze.
So somebody
Is it
else
snus
said that
or
it was snooze.
Snooze. It is snooze.
Oh, like the camera.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
these guys went back and forth, or these
Bob.
two gentlemen went back and forth for well over 40 minutes on
Also,
the snooze and snus, and
You
Google
know-
was brought up. I'm just saying.
Jason.
Honestly,
It
I'm
is-
pretty
It
Go
is
ahead.
pronunciation. Thank you.
pronunciation.
How about Illinois?
Oh, do not. even,
Illinois. No.
Oh, jeez.
Illinois.
Or Des Moines?
So, is that it on the
Well,
opera? Did you figure anything out?
perhaps. I was just saying
Oh, shit.
that Ryusaki's over there using Opera
Let me go.
GX. And, like, how fancy of you.
To get back to our original topic of ads, I haven't
You're an ad.
not used an ad blocker or not had YouTube. I paid for YouTube Premium because,
Yeah.
like I
I
said,
do
they
too.
gotta. I think it's worth it. But anyways, so I paid for YouTube Premium. I cannot imagine what YouTube ad-supported YouTube is like. I think I accidentally wasn't logged into my YouTube account once, and I logged in and started watching a video on YouTube, and it started showing me ads. I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, it was, I was like so taken aback. Like, I was like, "This experience is horrible." Like,
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
guys,
So
I had,
we got a problem. It
What's the
seems
problem?
that Dear Schlooby Snack is, in fact, of the 1% now. He's no longer one of us.
because I pay for YouTube Premium.
Yeah.
I also pay for
He's-
YouTube
he's-
Premium. What's that mean?
It's only like $10 a month.
Get you being able to afford $10 a month.
I just don't. You know, I cut out like 2 avocado toasts a month,
Right.
and I'm good, and I can afford YouTube Premium.
Right?
Look at this motherfucker eating avocados on toast.
Dang.
Yeah, I get Hulu ad free too, and I remember I was watching Solar Opposites, and I remember they called out people that paid extra to get the ad free, and it's like, did you enjoy that ad? If you didn't, Congratulations, Mr. Moneybags.
Exactly.
Actually, I actually, but so I pay for YouTube Premium, but I don't have Hulu or Netflix or the only video like movie service that I pay for anymore is Amazon Prime, and that's because of the shipping. But I don't have HBO Now or anything or
Yeah.
It's HBO Max.
or
And HBO is so fucking overpriced. I hate HBO. They're so overpriced. And they took a lot of the good shows away from freaking Hulu, too.
Well,
Like South Park being one of them.
Well, my girlfriend and I
that's because it's on Paramount now.
It is, and fuck Paramount. But my girlfriend and I got HBO Max. We used it for a total of like 2 weeks, and then we realized it just was not worth it.
That's just yet another
There's
example,
nothing on
though.
it.
That's just another example where it was like there was streaming video was supposed to be like, all right, we don't have to deal with the cable companies anymore. But yet again, they fucking got us.
Exactly.
Because now it's like, okay, instead of paying for a bunch of fucking channels you don't need, like the bundles are back. Like, hey, fucking sign up for your Verizon wireless carrier. We can give you a Disney Plus bundle and you'll get all these extra fucking channels and shit. Like,
yeah,
it's so dumb.
That it is.
Even Amazon Prime is even like at fault for this because like there's like I Top Gear, amazing show. I love the show, and they only have like 10. They have like the most random seasons too. Like there's just these blocks of seasons that you're not able to watch on Amazon Prime without having a Motor Trend subscription. So and you believe it or like. Nice and convenient of them to be like, oh yeah, by the way, we'll make it so you can manage your Motor Trend subscription just right through Amazon Prime. You don't even have to leave the website, and
Crazy.
it's just like, how much money is enough? Like,
yeah.
Well, that and
Just
not to
getting
mention,
ridiculous,
I've heard from there's this one YouTuber that I subscribe to. His name is SaberSpark, and he
I know Saber
he usually
Spark.
does. What's that?
I know Saber Spark. He's funny.
So you've heard of SaberSpark?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen some of his videos.
he really bashes on Amazon Prime streaming services because they have like a lot of weird shit on there, and a lot of it is just like low budget, like just I pulled something out of my ass, kind of random, random movies and shit that are like completely terrible. I swear, and in my opinion, the only reason why Amazon Prime is probably still alive is because The Boys and Invincible. Just saying.
Prime Originals. There's some good ones, but they're mostly bad. But
Greasy Strangler.
What's funny is there's also I don't know if you've ever seen this skit before, but there for a while when Netflix, it just seemed like anybody could get their own Netflix show. But there was this
Rick and Morty made fun of that.
There was this YouTube I think it was a YouTube skit. And it was like, thanks for calling Netflix. You've been greenlit. How can we help you? Like.
I remember South Park did a whole bit on that, like they did with like they were trying to make like their own like MCU kind of thing, but it was Coon and Friends. It was like,
you just hit somebody. You got to pay attention, Schloobs.
I was looking away for a moment. He didn't stop, so he's actually technically doing a hit and run right now, even though he's not running away.
You hit him in the back end.
Yeah,
look, he's pissed. He's trying to pull over. It's like, give me your insurance information.
I got his plate number. I got his plate number
right now. The Greasy Strangler. It's a horror comedy on Amazon Prime. Yeah, The Greasy Strangler.
Greasy Strangler. Hot
Read
dang.
the blurb. It's an American black comedy horror film directed by Jim Hosking, written by Hosking and Toby Harvard. Film stars Michael St. Michaels, Sky Elabar, Elizabeth DeRazzo, Gil Gex, Abdulier Nagom, and Holland McAllister. The film was released in October of 2016.
2017.
I don't know any of those. Michael St. Michaels.
That's
a bit much.
That sounds like a made-up person.
Yeah.
It really does. Michaels. But yeah, I found a few Hulu originals that I really liked. One of which is Mr. In Between. It's based on a movie called The Magician,
Okay.
which was
Sounds like a porn star name.
I know it does, but it's basically it's about a former hitman for hire that is trying to just kind of get away from the life and have a family life with his daughter. It's a fun show, and at times it can be kind of fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I'll take the next topic if you like.
Sounds good. I need to step away, so if you would just read through this article for everybody, and
Can do.
all right, I will be right back.
All right, so Dylan, don't make me come over there. Anyway, the DOJ appeals decision to appoint special master in the Trump FBI raid document case. All right, the FBI seized more than 10,000 government records when it raided Mar-a-Lago on August 8th. Many of those documents bore classification markings, including dozens of folders that were empty when they were collected by the FBI. Cannon, who was appointed by Trump, wrote in her rulings Monday in a U.S. district in southern Florida that the country is served best by an orderly process that promotes the interest and perception of fairness. The DOJ's appeal was filed at the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit, which holds appellate jurisdiction over cases from district courts in Florida. Schlub, what do you think of this?
I honestly, we got in an accident and lost track of what we were talking about. What was? Remind me of the subject again, please.
The subject is about the DOJ. They appointed a special master in the FBI raid case for Mar-a-Lago. Yeah. I just wanted to know your opinion since you're a Florida man.
I'm a Florida man.
You're a Florida man.
I am?
Yes.
How am I Florida man?
You just are.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it?
What did what did I just step into?
You stepped into me calling Schloobs out for being a Florida man.
Okay.
I'm not really sure I'm a Florida man, but
I mean, look at him going on this rampage on the streets.
I mean, this happening right now. This motherfucker is literally brake checking me.
So rear end him and go around.
Does it not look like I haven't rear-ended him? Like my hood's all bent up.
Right.
I'm gonna pit maneuver this motherfucker.
Do it. I want to watch.
But okay, I more just sideswiped him. I didn't slow down enough, but
yeah, well, still.
Yeah, make sure I throw the middle finger out the window. I mean, so what does that even mean by them assigning a special agent to the case or whatever? Like,
well, they assigned a special
what
master.
Impact?
So essentially, what that means.
What is the impact of that?
So essentially, what that means is that because this is something really that only typically happens for people who are kind of public figures. But essentially, a special master is somebody that's going to look over the investigation and the documentation kind of from a publicity's standpoint to make sure and oversee that, say, the Department of Justice is doing their job and not trying to just smear somebody. And I think that the judge presiding over the case did grant that. And the main thing that's the problem is that the person who was granted this kind of special position was appointed by by Trump himself. Well,
I'll just say he appointed it himself, didn't he?
Yes. Now, technically,
so no real accountability.
Well, right, and this is the main thing that I can gather, and I've just personally done kind of some outside research on this one, watched a few videos, but essentially, from what I can understand, is that there's really no law stating that you can't do that, because being appointed as kind of a special master has been done tons of times to other presidents, but the difference is that typically this has not been done in a criminal case, because this is one of the few times that, a United States president is being, tried, or I guess investigated. He hasn't been tried yet, but investigated for, an actual criminal case. So then it really does kind of beg to question, is it a good idea for him to be kind of being represented as a special master from somebody who might have a bias towards him? Really, that special master should be somebody that doesn't have like a particular bias, but is just making sure that they're doing their jobs correctly.
How Trump of a Trump thing to do, though, to be like, he's doing something that people look upon like, okay, that doesn't feel exactly like a very legitimate thing to do, and he's just like, well, it's not illegal. Like,
Yeah.
and
Well,
like, and I mean, that's how he deals with his taxes. Even like he's just like, I mean, the loopholes are there. Why shouldn't I take them? I'd be a shitty business person if I didn't take the loopholes. Like,
well,
Well, I mean, yeah, he did the same thing with the Supreme Court, like with SCOTUS, didn't he? Because isn't some of the SCOTUS members people that Trump appointed unfairly after RBG died?
yeah. I don't know that it was. So it was just a case of he had the option of doing it. And the reason that they got pissed about that is because when Obama tried appointing a judge right after, I can't remember, there was another similar situation that happened 8 months before the end of his term, they threw kind of a shit fit saying that, oh, well, you're not allowed to do this because of X, Y, and Z. It's like towards the end of his, presidential, appointment. So they didn't want his bias to be put in there when it's a lifetime appointment. Well, they did the exact same thing, even though, Obama actually caved on that. I don't know that he caved on it, but something happened so that the Republicans got their way. And I mean, hey, that in my mind is just a case of yet again, Democrats having control of something and deciding to just not take advantage of it. And I can understand that it is kind of scummy, that you would expect that there would be some sort of a just basic moral compass for a lot of people. But when it comes to a lot of these positions, it really comes down to two major incentives. And the first one is term limits. There are none, right, for representatives and senators. So
Yeah, and
like
there should be.
their whole desire is to just constantly over and over and over again make this a career and keep getting reelected. So then that makes it to where the incentive is, I don't really care about what the law is that's being put out, if it's fair or whatever. I'm going with whatever the status quo is because I want to keep getting reelected.
yeah.
So there's less chance of people, stepping up and doing, kind of the courageous thing or the right thing, because there's so much incentive to try to stay within these positions. And even the founding fathers, which I'm not going to say that I'm like a traditionalist or anything like that. I mean, the founding fathers, by all means, by their archaic standards, it's, a very old document at this point. They, by today's standards, would be seen as pieces of shit. Like they owned slaves. They thought of women as second-class citizens. And it's really just because of their culture at the time. But ultimately, the founding fathers did say and recognize this problem. They said that, representatives should rule as though they're going to live under these laws that they're enacting. And that's not the case anymore, because it's like,
Well, yeah,
Mitch McConnell
and
isn't living under these rules. He gets
fuck no,
essentially to do whatever the hell he wants at any given
fuck no,
time,
yeah.
So
Yeah, and not to mention, there were certain leaders throughout history, before capitalism became sort of a thing, that the purpose of a government is to serve the people. And of course, we all know that sure as hell ain't happening here.
yeah.
No, it certainly is not, and it's been
hasn't
that way
been
for quite
happening
some time.
It hasn't been that way since like the 60s.
Yeah, so yeah, I just don't understand that either, and but people would rather get would rather storm a Capitol because their president didn't win over because of a baseless conspiracy theory, except for looking at the fact that our government, just overall, you could be Republican, you could be a Democrat, you could be where the hell ever side, left winger, right winger. It doesn't matter. The government has been screwing its own people for decades, and not to mention, it's been screwing us for decades. I mean, you look at other countries; they're more based on the people's needs, and they're getting vacations, and they're getting more times with their newborn children because they know that the father, including the father, yes, fathers included, are getting maternity leave so they can be with their newborns.
Yeah.
We don't get that here. It's not about the needs of the people. It's profit, and number margins.
Well,
And we see through this bullshit, but yet they. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
The biggest thing that you'll hear all the time on Fox News and like Sky News, which is kind of weird. I think we should sometime just look into Sky News and see why they're being suggested so much, because it's an Australian news channel, but yet they're essentially very regularly just posting not posting, but like doing reports on the same things as Fox News. Yeah. So it's kind of like, are they owned by the same conglomerate or whatever? And I'm just so weirded out why the Australians give half a shit about what the Americans do, but anyway.
But then again,
I think part of the reason that Sky News is taking such interest is because they're worried that we might, go ahead and cross the ocean, come to them and steal all their spiders.
Just making shit up.
They're delicious spiders.
I'm not making anything up.
Yeah.
Well, we were all freaked out over the Queen dying, and even though that we literally had America literally fought its first war against the British Empire from independence from King George III's rule. So I don't get it either. Why Australia would give a shit about what we're doing when, it's Australia is quite different from America.
Yeah.
By the way, Ryo, didn't see your message earlier. This is a game called BeamNG. It's like a physics game with cars. Just
I
FYI.
didn't see that.
Look at those.
Oh, I see it now. Okay.
Such good graphics.
I'm in Italy now, so I'm driving a sports car, or supercar now, of course. So.
Hey, Schloobs, earlier you mentioned that you really like Top Gear.
Yeah.
I came up with an idea for traffic safety. A good way to do that would be having an ad where Richard Hammond tries to remember his wedding day.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Or a good no speeding ad could be a picture of Richard Hammond's car insurance.
I was gonna say, you mentioned Richard Hammond, I immediately crashed there, so.
Well, there you go. And yes, Ryo, I am a little quiet today. I'm not feeling top, but I'm getting a little better.
So for this next topic, sorry to hear that, Mike. Sorry, I don't want to be insensitive there. We got to move on.
Oh, you're fine. I'll go ahead and start us off.
Well, this one we're gonna skip ahead in the doc. Let's do the Scooby-Doo one.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy, this one.
You have to actually read it out of the article because NBC News wants to.
NBC News.
Yeah.
News.
NBC News.
I can't do NBC News without turning off my ad blocker.
No. They need that money.
Okay. Anyway, Velma Dinkley, the character from the beloved cartoon Scooby-Doo, has been dubbed a Karen for her ability to call the police on black characters in a new video game. I'm not going to read any more just yet. I'm going to go ahead and state with almost absolute certainty that she can call the police on anyone.
She can. She did it on
is
Superman.
You're
Exactly.
I mean, we mentioned Richard Hammond, so that's
It
what happens.
only makes sense if you're on fire, just like the hamster.
Oh man, my tire deflated.
Never mind that I'm on fire. All right, yeah. Well, either way, the brainy crime solver in the Mystery Inc. gang, Velma, appears in Multiverses, an online fighting game released by Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment in July. She's one of the many famous characters players can choose from Warner Brothers Discovery catalog, including DC Comics, Wonder Woman, and Batman, and Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny, and Tasmanian Devil. However, Velma's portrayal in the game has stirred debate online. As a sleuth, she can collect enough evidence against her opponent, hold up a wanted poster, and call the police on them. Her character's ability to call police on black characters, such as basketball star LeBron James, who appeared in the movie Space Jam: A New Legacy, didn't sit right with everyone. This is ridiculous. They are
He's
pointing
the
it out
only
that she
black
can...
guy in the freaking game. Holy
Exactly.
crap.
So, yeah, NBC
What, is Goofy
is
not black?
creating targeted issue. No, Goofy's a cow, so...
Yeah, no, but they're like personifying an archetype.
Yeah, it's an archetype, but at the same time, they are creating an issue where there wasn't one.
Hey, the cat from Adventure Time is a black woman.
The cat from Adventure... I don't watch enough Adventure Time to know who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
her name is Cake. I think is what her name is.
Cake?
Cake, seriously, Cake.
All right.
It's an alternate skin in the game, and she's actually her voice actor definitely sounds like a black woman, or at least that's what's portrayed to be, anyways.
But still, my point remains: the fact that there is a black character that she can call the cops on should not detract from the fact she can call the cops on any character.
Yeah.
They're just saying she can call the cops on black characters to stir controversy.
It's just kind of a weird move anyway, and granted, I still have not checked out Multiverses because I'm just not really into fighting games, but
right.
I've watched some people play it, and I'm just saying, like, it reminds me of Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
it is.
It just essentially, like, that being a move in general is kind of dumb anyway.
It is a little dumb, but it is true to the character.
Like,
does she only?
First of all,
does she only say it to the one character?
No, I'm pretty certain she can do it to any character.
No, I mean there are certain characters that do have certain like exclusive dialogues in the game. Like,
I'm confused why this is an issue. Maybe I missed something, but
I mean, because certain characters do have dialogue with other characters, even ones that are outside of their domain. Like, for example, Superman. Like when Superman gets knocked out by Shaggy, he would literally say, "Shaggy, how many of those sandwiches have you eaten?" Like that's it.
Almost sounded like when Superman gets knocked up by Shaggy.
Yeah, I said knocked out, but knocked out.
Sounded like Shaggy. You said knocked up.
There's probably a fanfic about it, but
guarantee you there is.
If it exists, there's porn for it.
Shaggy, Superman.
So does she have a unique poster each time she shows the cops? So there actually is a wanted poster for the person or whatever? Because I'm just saying.
I played a few online matches, and from what I can tell, she's not a very heavily used character. Because the way that the developers have her designed, she's more of a support in a disruptor kind of a fighter. She doesn't actually do direct combat
damage.
She's more of a support because the way that they have it designed is there's those who do actual combat, and then there's those who are more supportive of their teammate than they are combatants themselves.
So she'll give you fines and emotional damage, is what you're saying.
Right. Just first of all, look at that picture of Velma holding up the wanted poster. Does that look like a black person?
Well, number one, no, and number two.
Wouldn't it be funny?
That's not even a character.
It shows on
not even a character.
It shows on the poster a white guy, and it's just pointing at LeBron James. It's this guy.
Granted, that could be like in old cartoons, how you could always tell if they
That's
were going to
funny.
open a door, the door was a different color than the rest of the background. That kind of idea, but like maybe the wanted poster is the same every time, regardless of what character she's calling the cops
It
on.
is.
It says
Yes,
Mr.
I mean,
Jenkins.
I can see there being controversy if she could only call the cops on LeBron James.
but no, it's not.
But-
It's every character. Every character.
Exactly. Every character can have the cops called on them. These
Right.
people are creating a controversy where one need not exist. Because
Yeah,
she
they're
can do it to
looking-
a black person. I mean, she can do it to everybody, but let's focus on the black person.
Right. Well,
Yeah, they're just reading into something
just
that's not
in the
there.
general thing.
Yeah, it's really not an issue. Like, it genuinely does not feel like a problem. If she wants to call the cops, let her.
Shaloobs, you're in the grass.
I am the grass.
You
He
are
is
the grass.
He's the one with nature.
I've got a Baron on my chest.
I see that, and I was thinking very strongly about going and grabbing my kitten,
Yeah.
who's
All
just
right.
sitting over there all vulnerable looking.
So we're pretty
But-
well just saying it's dumb. We're taking it too far. That's what this consensus is.
It's
It's
taking
about as-
outcry a little too far, yeah.
What is there an outcry even about? I don't understand. Like, what is there to be upset
she
about?
has a move that is calling the cops on people, and that's kind of like
And
A
people
Karen
are getting
type thing.
shitty about it because she can
it's
call
like
the
she's
cops
essentially
on a black
just
guy.
a Karen. She's just a Karen.
And as we've seen in past years, that being a Karen is not okay.
So what
Yeah, and not-
they should change it so that she comes out and she's just like, defund the police. that should be her new.
I mean,
the
and
phrase they
difference
replace
between
it with.
Velma, though. Well, and here's another stupid thing, though. The difference between the typical police calling Karen and Velma. Velma actually investigates and has actual evidence before she even makes the call to call the authorities.
Yeah, that's a
Karens
good
just
point.
do it off
Exactly.
of haunt or off of the stupid.
Karen say, hey, officer, arrest him for being black, whereas Velma would say, hey, officer, I found these bloodstained shoes in his front yard next to a hose that he was going to clean them with. Arrest him.
Exactly.
Well, you're talking
See,
about in the
she's-
context of the show, but she's not investigating anything in the middle of a brawler match.
Actually, it stated in the article that during the match, she can gather evidence. and
Yeah, she
then call
can.
the
That's
cops.
it's like a
Which,
it's a charge
that
up
right
for
there.
ultimate. It's like a charge up mechanic, if you will.
exactly.
It's a charge up mechanic.
But that in itself, she can gather evidence and then
But
call
does
the
the
cops.
Exactly.
evidence stick back? I'm just saying.
Whether the evidence sticks or not, it's still evidence, which
But
would
evidence of
lead
what?
to an accusation. That's all I'm saying. Like in a murder investigation, for instance, if you find an Italian flag just laying there next to a body, you're probably going to look for an Italian killer.
Or somebody who hates Italians.
It could
If it
be
walks
a
like a
frame-up
duck,
job,
talks
but
like a duck, and murders its own ducks like a duck, it's probably a motherfucking duck.
it comes to Occam's razor, though. The simplest explanation is
Yeah.
probably the most likely. If you find a little something with an Italian flag on it, it could probably be related to an Italian person.
Fair enough.
More likely than somebody trying to frame the Italians, which could very well happen. The
Which
reason
could
I'm on
very
such
well
a tirade
happen.
against the Italians is because I was given a bad piece of pizza a while back, and that's probably part of the reason.
Yeah,
Pizza's American.
Been holding it against them ever since.
Oh, yeah.
Pizza's
Yes.
American.
And by a while back, I mean like yesterday.
But more
It's
of the
an
story,
American
but more of the story, it's dumb because LeBron James is literally the only African American human that's in the game, and not to mention, I want to say like 70% of the freaking cast that's so far in the game are not even human at all. There's one that's literally a freaking dog and a reindeer mixed into one being called Rain Dog, which golly knows why. And then you got anamorphic animals with
Why?
that just that have slapstick powers, and then you got comic book characters, and two of them are not even actual humans. One's an Amazonian, one's Kryptonian, and it's so stupid.
Well, now
This
you're
is the
splitting
stupidest thing ever.
hairs.
I know
It's so stupid.
those Kryptonians. They're pretty sneaky.
The motherfucker's
Sneaky
always,
bastards.
taking the insoles out of your shoes when you're not looking.
I
Them
feel kind of
bastards.
attacked
Doing
here for some reason.
doing some donuts over there.
I found an airfield, so
You're trespassing. The
Oh
cops will
no,
be
no,
after
we
you.
we can't bring up donuts. It's insensitive to the Americans.
Yeah, it's especially to those who are diabetic or overweight.
You can't use the word diabetic. It's sugar intolerant now.
So for this next one, we're going to do this one off the cuff. We don't have an article to discuss, but we
Oh,
need to just
God.
briefly discuss. The Queen's dead.
That she is.
What's that
you
one?
didn't say that right. You didn't say that right.
The Queen is dead.
No, you're still doing it wrong. God blimey! Granny's dead in it.
I just have to ask: has anybody checked on Keith Richards?
Oh no, he's in some
Just-
bathroom at a truck stop somewhere shooting up right now.
Because I was pretty sure I heard that like the Queen and Keith Richards were going to inherit the Earth after we were all gone. So
Yeah.
the fact that was the first thing I thought of.
But hey, Betty White died at 99. We got 3 more points than those damn Brits.
Nice. I think that the whole Queen's dead thing, it's to some people, a bad deal, but to a lot of people out there, many of those who live in like India and Africa,
I mean,
they're kind of like a bit glad about it.
does it? I don't know. I'm not familiar with how the politics within the UK works.
Well,
They're run by the Prime Minister.
What
the
fucking
Queen
worth
and
are you, man?
The monarchy is
Jeez.
only there as set
Like,
dressing more than
yeah,
anything else.
they're just they're not even a prop. They're just like there. Like they have no real influence on like
Well,
law or
bullshit,
anything like that,
they do.
right?
They have political power.
They
Do
don't
they?
have political power. They have social power. The
mean,
Queen is as much the Queen of England as the Burger King is the King of America.
No, she actually has power. It's in there.
So does the damn Burger King, dude.
It's not the
Freaking
same definitive power like they used to have with the British Empire. But, they do have power. It's actually written into their constitution. But it's not in the same way that, like, even a president would have power. It's different.
No, not at all.
But, the biggest thing that I think is a major L for people, and I'm just straight up saying, like, this is an L. If you're really severely mourning, like, the death of the Queen, I kind of feel that you're kind of unaware of, like, what the position really kind of represents in general. Like, even if it's the case that you lived in England for a while, or, just generally started watching things around the Princess Diana scandals or whatever, it's still like a position that has caused the world a lot of fucking problems, and she was directly responsible for a lot of those problems.
Yep.
And I'm just saying that regardless if it's this nice old lady or whatever you want to call it, she inherently, just by her existence within that established position, is just carrying on this imperialism, this colonialism kind of part of the world that we want to move past. It's something we don't want to be doing anymore. We can criticize it until the cows come home, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to say mainly there's a reason to be very critical of the Queen and the position of the monarchy. And I think that kind of being all like, teary-eyed over some lady who brought, countless, over the course of 70 years of her reign, countless amounts of suffering, it's a major L to me. But that's, granted,
Yeah.
that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Which is what most kings and queens have ever done throughout history. I mean,
Right.
look what happened when the French had a monarchy. Wow, the French, just every average Joe Schmo, during medieval France, they got fucked over so badly.
Oh yeah.
And then they got so pissed off it led to revolution, and the kingdom got overthrown. And they're like, you know what? We're not going to do this shit no more. It just makes people mad with power. It makes them greedy, and then they start treating us like we're just objects. So
Well,
no
I'm
more
just
of that.
saying,
And
even still, like the Queen's net worth is like $500 and some million. But how much of
wow,
that is actually hers?
yeah, that's
Basically
You know what I
pretty
mean?
low.
That's
I would
stolen.
say.
That's stolen from people and
Well, I mean, and
countries.
then
You know?
again, that's pretty low because I mean, if you look at, I mean, okay, don't look at me like this, but Vladimir Putin's net worth is like 100 billion. I think his net worth is like, I think 200 or 500 billion or
He
something like
can't be.
that. So
So
It's
the richest person
alleged.
in the
It's
world,
alleged.
the richest person in the world, last I checked, and it's been a month. I don't know if you want to look that up really quick. The top 10 richest people in the world there, Mike. But
Elon Musk is 200 million or 200 billion.
yeah, so I'm just saying there's
He
no way
is
Putin
currently
has
the
even
richest person.
remotely close to what
yeah, that
Musk
too.
or Bezos does, and they're up in the
That's-
200 and some billions.
That's actually something I had read about before, is that Vladimir Putin may very well have a lot of wealth stashed away that is unclaimed and undeclared, so it wouldn't be recorded in such a way. Like, a lot of it.
I mean, they said that shit
is-
about the Nazis.
Now, the Nazis had a stockpile of gold artifacts, art, and other shit. That's different.
And they
what
do say
I
it about the
read-
Vatican.
the Vatican is just a bunch of charlatans anyway. Fuck them
Yeah,
all. But
I agree.
what I had read about Putin, it was something to the effect of when a constituent or another personage of importance in the Russian government died, their wealth was seized by Putin and put into basically a vault. Now, the truth of this, who knows? But it
It's
does
Russia,
seem like
because
something
the
that
name of
Putin
time
would
Russia
do.
was honest.
It seems like kind of thing that he would do. It really
Yeah.
does.
I mean, it is Putin. He does ride bears around shirtless.
Well, not to mention that the fucking government is basically ran by an oligarch as well.
Ain't no pretty much. It's all Russia
I mean-
is basically an oligarchy.
So are we.
What do you mean? So are we? We are the oligarchy.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay, that's all I wanted to say about the Queen. Does anybody have any final thoughts about the Queen specifically?
Like, going back to what we said before, I mean, why should we give a shit about an event that's happening in another country that literally does not affect us? Like you said, with Australia,
Yeah.
possibly being in cohort with.
It does kind of affect us, but
I mean, world news is world news, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
I mean, yeah, world news is world news, but I mean, I don't understand that because I mean, like, or the royal wedding, like, I mean, yeah, it's pretty I mean, it's got a lot of fanfare and it's a big. I mean, you know, it's got a lot of cool stuff that you know you don't really see in a typical wedding. But I mean, at the same time, what does that do for us as people, the Joe Schmoes? What that do for us? Nothing.
gives us memes.
The Queen just won the gulag.
She won the gulag.
You thought it was
But,
over. Think again. Think
Now we
again.
have to
So did
worry
Betty White.
about
She won. She beat Tom Madden or John Madden.
Tom Madden. Well, now we have
Oh,
to worry
shoot.
about King Schloobs.
Yeah. You keep
Sorry,
wrecking
King
over there,
Charles.
Sloobs. What's going on?
I'm trying to, so that basically what I have to do is there's this mission where you have to like do a ramp. So see that big ass thing up there? I gotta like.
You drank too much Mountain Dew, didn't you?
I did have quite a bit of Mountain Dew, but
He's playing GTA 5.
There he goes.
I'm
Get
doing
it.
Let me smell your breath.
Boom. Oh,
You Matt New
he's dying. He's dying. All right,
What's
we're going to
funny
go
is-
on.
Breath.
Since we got the chance to talk about the Queen, now let's talk about
The other
blackface.
Yes.
queen, Elton John.
Let's talk about some blackface. Oh, man.
That's a hell of a transition.
Yeah. Hey, Angela Merkel. Anyway, sorry.
That's Angela Merkel, but
Angela.
still.
Yeah, whatever.
Angela Schmengela.
So on this one, for a different thing that's unrelated to the Queen, I might add. Bachelorette finalist ERICH apologizes for wearing blackface. Nothing but ignorance, this TMZ article states. We're going to read it. This is a pretty short article, and then we're going to discuss. So let me get through this before we start. It's triggering, so I just hold your triggers back. Hold your triggers back. We're going to get through it. Here we go. There he is. Bachelorette contestant Eric Schwer, the last remaining candidate for Gabby Windey, is owning up to wearing blackface as part of a Halloween costume in high school, saying he deeply regrets his actions. A photo from Schwer's old yearbook made rounds on social media this week, showing him dressed as Jimi Hendrix, donning dark makeup with an afro wig. The 29-year-old real estate analyst from New Jersey is now speaking out on his costume choice, saying he wholeheartedly apologized for what he thought was a gesture showing love for the artists, but admits it only showed ignorance. I was naive to the hurtful implications of my actions to the black community and those closest to me, and will forever regret my offensive and damaging behavior, Schwer said on Thursday. I am deeply ashamed of my actions and understand that my apology is only the first step in taking accountability. Schwer is Gabby's final chance at love on the season of the dating show after she parted ways with Johnny and Jason during the Fantasy Suite episode. It's not the first controversy involving race for the franchise Bachelor. Contestant Rachel Kirkconnell was criticized for attending an antebellum plantation-themed event in college and later admitted she was wrong.
Ooh. Oh,
So,
ouch. Oh, oh my God. No.
I'm just saying, like,
No,
if it's the case where he, like, doesn't, I'm just saying, like, there's not the same connotation to this that there is this. This one right here, and I don't know if you can see my cursor, on the right-hand side, that to me is like most definitely very, very, very racist. And I'm a white guy, so I can't like speak to this definitively, but this is where I'm at. All right. This right here is a caricature of blackness that is racist by all means. All right. This over here, I'm kind of struggling a bit to say that is strictly racist or whatever. Is it in poor taste? Possibly. But, like, if he's not using that as a caricature of making fun of Jimi Hendrix, who was black, I truthfully and admittedly don't understand how we, need to be, like, making apologies of this, especially during that cultural time.
I say, what year is this? And, like,
right.
What
He's 29, and this is when he was in high school, so 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And I'm just trying to learn here maybe a little bit. I'm saying, yeah, it might be in poor taste by today's standards, but back then there wasn't the same controversies that we see today as far as blackface. So, like, if he didn't know and it wasn't, like, in the mainstream, and plus he just...
I'm just saying... What year did Tropic Thunder come out?
Well, let's look that up. Let me see. Tropic Thunder.
Well, that's a different example.
Hold on. The only reason why I bring that up is because every single time like the subject of blackface gets brought up, Tropic Thunder happens to be one of those things where it's like, this is the one time it was okay. And
yeah.
Well, I have seen something about that.
I certainly am not advocating for this at all. I'm just saying that, like, I could see how somebody during that time, like, would think that this is okay. And really, when it comes down to it, if the guy wants to issue an apology, I think that's
fine.
Robert Downey Jr.'s part.
That's commendable by him.
I feel like he was urged to do it.
But that being said, whether or not he was urged to, like, what? I mean, are people just bringing this up because they want to see him kicked about? Like, what do they want to happen to this guy? Do they want him
that's
his life
They
to be
want him to
ruined by
die.
this?
That's
or
the
like,
constant question. That's
like,
the
what
constant
is-
question when it comes to this. Every
what
time
is
it happens.
what is the consequence that we want for this person? Do we just want them to apologize? If that's
Blood
all
eagle.
it is, then yeah, go ahead and apologize. And I mean, I don't know. What are we supposed to do about this? I mean, like, okay, it happened.
I'm just
Like,
saying that this is the thing. Context matters, right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
It does.
And that's where I'm saying is like I'm not going to ever really get on board with this kind of just blackface thing unless it's this. Like this over here on the right-hand side, once again, if you can't see my cursor, I can fully and 100,000% acknowledge that is clearly
100%.
meant to be racist.
Yeah.
But this here, this guy is not intending at the time, especially because it wasn't even a fucking thing. He's not intending to be racist. The context matters. He actually likes
He's
Jimi
just
Hendrix.
trying to make himself look as close as possible to
Yeah,
Jimi Hendrix.
yeah.
If he just honestly, maybe the reason he probably did this is I bet you if he hadn't, people would think he's Weird Al.
Yeah, Weird Al Yankovic.
Who wants
Yeah.
to be Weird Al?
Yeah, and I remember Family Guy.
100%.
I'm sorry,
100%.
Family Guy reference. Yeah, another Family Guy reference. But I remember there was a Halloween episode where Chris he was trying to be he was trying to dress up as Bill Cosby and he blackfaced because Bill Cosby's black. And then and Lois is like, Chris, what are you doing? He says, I'm Bill Cosby. Yeah, badabba. And he says, no, you take that off. That's racist right now.
But I'm just saying, like, if you dressed up in just like some, and I don't even know what the fuck Bill Cosby wears out in the public or whatever, but
Sweaters.
you dressed up in
you
dressed.
I'd say anymore he wears a jumpsuit. But
I get it, but get where my where I'm going with this is like if you dressed up. I'm a white guy, right? I'm gonna go to a Halloween party or something. I really want to have a costume that's Bill Cosby or any other I don't know, Eddie Murphy or something like that. And somebody's like, well, what are you? Well, I'm Bill Cosby. What? Bill Cosby's black. Like, you just can't even be that right now. Because I'm just saying, like, and trust me, I don't go out. I don't go out into. It's not a case like I'm crying for fucking just to be Bill Cosby out in public. But the point is like, there's got to be a case where somebody's like, you know what, I want to pay homage to Bill Cosby and just kind of be fun with the thing. But now there's this really odd connotation of, well, if you're a white dude, if you're a white dude and you wear some brown makeup on your face, you're fucking strictly being racist towards black people. And that's where I disagree. Is it's like, I'm not, once again, I never get a costume for Halloween. So I'm not like saying that I really want to just be a black person for Halloween or something like that. Which,
so I mean, that's what I was
I'm just saying, like, who gives a fuck? Why are we caring about this?
Is that the issue though? Is maybe like, I don't know, it's inappropriate for him to cosplay as a person who is black. Maybe it's offensive.
Somebody's like, why didn't you get a black person to do that? Like, you're whitewashing it, dude.
I mean, but no, I'm actually kind of being serious. Like, is it insensitive or whatever to be like, am I only supposed to play white people as a Halloween character
and that's
costume? Like,
I get that it's kind of a hot take. I get it. I'm not purposely trying to make a hot take here. I'm just trying to think through where the racism specifically comes out on this, because like I fucking hang out with whoever, dude. I don't give a shit about race. I get and acknowledge that race has been a major issue, especially in the United States, and we're built upon kind of like a lot of racism built within the United States and its founding. So I can acknowledge all of that. But it's like, I'm not saying this for the case of, I just want to be fucking, like a Steven Crowder and just be racist or just be, catchy or not catchy, but like, do a hot take or something like that. It's like, I'm truly trying to understand, how is this guy dressing up in homage with Jimi Hendrix specifically racist? He's not making fun of Jimi Hendrix. And even if he was making fun of Jimi Hendrix, what if he was making fun of Jimi Hendrix because he thought that he was not a great guitar player, but it had nothing to do with him being black? Would that be still racist? No, because he's making fun of his guitar playing. So it's like, for us to focus in on this, blackness very specifically and wearing makeup on blackface, if this guy wore that same exact costume but didn't have blackface, you would just be like, oh, you're Jimi Hendrix, but you're white. Okay, that's like, where do we go with this? Like, I feel like they're overstepping a bit.
Well, there's certain people that are actually a good portion of people are bitching that, in the superhero community and video game community, other races that are not white were not being represented enough,
Yeah.
or that they're being over sexualized too. But yet, how? You don't have proof of this. Like, I watched this video about this guy who was debunking this lady. I can't remember what her name was, but she was an idiot. She was a complete idiot because she was trying to compare like Zelda Breath of the Wild, saying like how there was like racist kind of things within the game, like how like Ganondorf, because Ganondorf has dark skin, and dark skin is supposed to be a representation of evil. When literally, he's number one, he's not a human. Number two, that's because of like something else.
He's a member of the Gerudo race, who are
the
desert-dwelling
Gerudo race.
people. I mean, god damn it, these people are splitting hairs where it need not be split.
Yeah, exactly.
He was a member of a race of people who have darker skin.
Well,
having darker skin does not make him evil. It just means he is a part of a certain group.
We can talk, and this is where I'm saying that this is a much larger problem, is because we're talking currently about blackface. Maybe a ton of people that are listening or are going to check this out on YouTube, they're like, you know what, screw this Jason guy, he just doesn't understand blackface. I'll use a different example, and it's the same fucking thing. And I'm not one that's wanting to jump to the the defense of J.K. Rowling by any means, but let's talk about J.K. Rowling really quick. All of the goblins within her universe that she made could be construed as racist tropes of Jewish people. And there's this whole thing, and these, of course, J.K. Rowling brings on a lot of ire because of her, transphobic type of stuff that she does, and her, and we'll get into that a little bit later. We have kind of like a little bit of a segment on that. But to get to the point here is like, where do we draw the line now where it's like, okay, if we want to have like the perfect representation in fiction or in cosplaying or in costuming of, trying to not offend a bunch of different races, it's like, we essentially just can't have goblins in fucking fantasy anymore because that's a racist trope of Jewish people now. And I'm just saying, like, where do we draw the line at some point where it's like, guys, this, just because like a characteristic of, and the way that I've heard described on these videos, they're saying, well, the characteristic long-nosed nature and, these specific features is like a racist trope of Jewish people. And now, because J.K. Rowling has this racist trope of goblins in her universe, then she must be anti-Semitic or whatever. And I'm just saying, like, I think that the word racism is very often it's something gets thrown around too much, but I was going to say is it's often assumed when there's really no need to assume that. Like, I think you're really kind of using a very reactionary word in place of, maybe I think there could be connotations or whatever, but it's just thrown out as, well, this guy, getting back to this guy here in blackface, he's just a racist because he showed up as Jimi Hendrix with some brown makeup on. Context needs to really get back into the conversation, and I think that people are just being way too overboard on this. I mean, come on. Get the fuck out of here with this shit.
Well, back to the topic of Tropic Thunder, a point that I was going to make was that was widely accepted as not necessarily being considered racist, as it was used for artistic expression, it was lampooning people that would go to extreme lengths for method acting. and
Yes.
it was acknowledged as being racist when it was first
I-
introduced on screen.
I mean,
I get why it is, but I just think it's funny that everybody wants to like try and point to that as being like this is.
Well, in that case, like, if people wearing different shade of color to be a certain person is racist, then okay, then by that logic, Marvel, the MCU to be specific, is racist across the board because Gamora's green. But this woman's black, but they put green over her. Oh, is that racist? Or the Kree are all blue, or the gold people, and Adam Warlock, he's all gold. All that shit. I mean, it's so stupid. It's so stupid.
Yeah, I mean, and we can even just quickly segue. Like, I
The
think
gold people of the Sovereign and Adam Warlock is not one of them. Just saying.
we can just segue from this even. Let's. I'm going to switch the scene here, so we're not looking at this blackface dude anymore. But we've just been staring at him like for a bit there. But anyway, the thing that I was going to say is we can segue again. The fucking thing with the black Ariel, the black mermaid. Like, why, guys, gals,
That was so dumb.
people, why do we super high focus on specifically the skin color of this fictional character? Like, I cannot understand why we give a shit. It's such like a something that we should care about as much about skin color as we do hair color. Like, I don't think that I could look at Shloopy Snack over there and be like, you know what, straight up fuck you because of your blonde hair. Like, you know what, straight up F you, man.
It's turned brown over time.
Yeah.
It's not as blonde.
But you get my drift. You get my drift.
Man, you're trying to integrate into brown hair culture. Fuck you. But no, I've heard enough about the whole Ariel thing, and I'm just
it's so dumb.
It's to the point that it really, why do you fucking care? The movie's going to blow ass anyway.
It's not going to be good.
Regardless of whether she's black or white. It's a shameless cash grab of a remake by Disney. We shouldn't watch it based on that alone. Secondly, just to kind of play devil's advocate here, whether she's black, white, or not, it's a $6 cab fare between her eyes. Let's make fun of that.
Dang, dude. Oh.
If you look at the picture of her, it looks like her eyes are about 1.5 miles apart.
Yeah. It's a bit odd.
Remember that clip of the Family Guy episode I sent to you guys?
Yeah, just the eye wrangler. Yeah.
Hold on. Okay, we're good.
Hey, we need to tone it down a little bit, or Measles is not going to sponsor us next time.
I mean, Measles will sponsor just about anybody. The same as Raid Shadow Legends, with over 600 awesome champions that you can choose from to fight awesome bosses with a fully voiced campaign. Never mind.
Raid Shadow Legends.
Check it out. I'm fighting the clan boss, and it is all on auto, so I don't actually have to play it.
I'll just stick to Marvel Strike Force.
So our first hour is almost stretched to 2 hours. So let's get on to this next
Yes, it has. Let's
topic
do that.
here. So we're going to talk about one more, and then we're going to get on to a segment that Dylan's got prepared over here. So chess player Hans Niemann denies using sex toy to help him beat the grand champion at chess.
Could you please repeat that?
Chess player Hans Niemann denies using sex toy to help him beat grand champion.
Okay, I thought I heard you correctly. How does a sex toy help you in a chess game?
Well, if you'd be willing to read,
man?
we
Yeah,
can
I'm
probably
good.
find out.
Okay, you know what? Let me just adjust in my chair a little bit.
Do you mean Grandmaster or Grand Champion?
Grandmaster.
Okay.
He's a Grandmaster.
Grand
He's trying to beat the
champion.
Grand Champion, which, I mean,
Champion.
saying grand anything in regards to the game of chess, come on. Anyway, a teenage chess grandmaster has been forced to deny using a sex toy to help him claim his crown in one of the biggest scandals to hit the game in years.
Did they just?
Has there ever
did they
been
just
a
look at
scandal
the?
around chess? Ever?
They just look at the guy. They're like,
I'm pretty
yeah,
sure there
that,
actually has been a few.
that guy
but-
definitely likes butt play.
Anyway, Hans Niemann, 19, an up-and-coming a star in chess. Ugh. Anyway,
You better watch out. Andrew Tate's dad was a chess player.
Oh shit!
well,
I mean,
fuck
there-
Andrew Tate. Just
There's some pretty
putting that out there.
there's some
Fuck
pretty
Andrew Tate.
famous chess players out there, but
Anyway, Hans Niemann, 19, an up-and-coming star in the game, was sensationally accused online of using anal beads connected to a computer program that would vibrate and give him the perfect AI moves to beat world #1 Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen.
honestly, if that was true, I'd be like, I'm not even mad. That's amazing.
I know. If you can feel the buzz, if you have the wherewithal to put in anal beads and can still feel them buzzing to the point where you can read the buzzes as instructions, then you shouldn't be doing chess. You should be a fucking spy.
I'm just saying. So let's just try to put together a. So if you're using chess coordinates, wouldn't you have to use like an alphanumeric and number in there? So like presumably, if you're
It's a
using
grid
that
system.
by like the numbers of, but maybe they could use Morse code. I'm just thinking, like, would they use Morse code to try to communicate that, with the anal bead? I don't know.
I mean, that's very possible, but at the same time, one thing to consider: these chess matches are more often than not timed. Like you have
True.
a set number of seconds to
Yeah.
do your move, or you forfeit your turn. So he would have to be reading these vibrating anal beads at like lightning speed to be
He
able to
is
figure it
a
out.
chess player and up and coming. So I'm just saying, like,
Well, with those beads in his ass,
I
he's
was
got
gonna say
to be
that.
coming.
he probably can read patterns really, really fast.
I would imagine so, but at the same time, my point stands. Anyway, to continue reading,
It's up his ass.
hitting back at internet rumors accusing him of using anal beads to cheat, Niemann said, "If you want me to fully strip naked, I will do it. I don't care because I know I'm clean. You want me to play in a closed box with zero electronic
chess.
transmission? I don't care. I'm here to win, and that is my goal regardless."
Has to get fucking like a cavity search before he plays a chess game. Like,
His ass search.
They've got like the FBI there with rubber gloves and fucking cavity searches.
Dang, dude, that was one hell of a wreck.
Got some chess.
What, the chess game or Schloobs?
I mean, both, but Shaloob's just fucking smashed himself into a giant fireball there.
First.
Anyway, continue.
It came as Elon Musk deleted a tweet of an influencer discussing the rumor that Niemann used.
Of course
to
it involves
promote
Elon.
sex toy.
Fucking Elon Musk.
Yeah, there it is. Talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one can see because it's in your butt.
Musk captioned it with an adapted version
Oh
of
my
a quote by
gosh.
philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, writing, "Talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one can see because it's in your butt." Yep. Niemann beat Magnus Carlsen, the world chess champion, in the $500,000.
Did you just say
Sink
Magnus
Field Cup.
Carlsen? That sounds like a fake person.
It does.
Magnus Carlsen.
And
This
when
is
he
Rusty
spelled,
Shackelford.
he spelled Carlsen with an E instead of an O, so definitely a pseudonym.
Oh
But
my
he
gosh.
beat him in the $500,000 Sinkfield Cup on September 4th, ending Carlsen's 53-game unbeaten streak.
$500! Oh, go ahead.
$500,000. Anyway, the next day, Carlsen withdrew from the tournament, a move which shocked the chess world. He also tweeted a cryptic video of Jose Mourinho, the Portuguese soccer manager, saying, "I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I'm in big trouble." So,
Well, if it's
first of
talking
all,
about anal beads, I'm not
But,
surprised.
Not-
He's like, I just don't want to talk about this, dude. Like,
let me just point out that the underworld of chess playing is a lot more sordid than I would have expected, considering Anal beads to win a game. Talked about by Elon Musk, the richest man in the world.
Just some pretty serious
then
shit,
somehow
man.
soccer comes into this. I'm so confused.
Why is it when
Either
it's Twitter, it's always Elon Musk involved?
Hey, he's gonna buy it. I think they're gonna
The
force
meme
him.
of Marino.
Hey,
is
here's a
winning
picture.
manager.
Hold on.
That already fell through, I thought.
Here's a video of that guy speaking. Let's give this a look real quick.
I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble. And I don't want to be in big trouble.
I do not wish to discuss the contents in this guy's
Right?
ass.
He's just like, he probably is a bit embarrassed, but go ahead. Sorry, Mike.
It's okay. The meme of Marino is when the manager is blasting officials for questionable performance, leading online commentators to infer that Carlson was accusing Niemann of cheating. As he said, it must be embarrassing for the world champion to lose to an idiot like me, Niemann said in an interview shortly afterwards, according to Vice. I feel bad for him.
Dang.
On Saturday, Chris Bird, the chief arbiter of the Sinkfield Cup, released... arbiter? Really?
He is the arbiter.
Released a statement that there was no indication that any competitor was playing unfairly. And when asked if Niemann should be invited back to the St. Louis Chess Club, its executive director said yes. Hans has already accepted an invitation to play in the Fall Classic, so I already have him signed up for the next tournament at the club.
Well, there you have it. Do you think he was cheating? Wild accusations?
I don't know, but he was lying out his ass.
Damn. Hot dang.
Oh my god. The shit that you find on the internet these days.
I'm telling you, man. Craziness.
The internet is like an enigma that's we cannot understand.
Jeez. All right,
Go
well.
from people getting mad about red cups to fucking Wayfair and child molesters and then fucking...
God. So, you just remind that whole Wayfair thing where, like, Wayfair was accused of being involved in, like, child trafficking or something like that?
Yeah.
Was there any truth to that, or was that just
not even a little
complete fucking like tinfoil hat?
Absolute tinfoil hat, 100%. Nothing was ever found about it. People were investigating very deeply into it, and nothing came of it.
Because I remember hearing about that, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like,
I mean, it's kind of an ingenious way to do things, so they probably gave a lot of perverts some good ideas.
Who thinks of this shit? Like,
right. Well, so we've got another one here. This is delving into the political realm here.
Not that we haven't already.
Well, I know, but we're not strictly talking about politics on here. We're, as you can notice, the partners, they really want us kind of like jumping around. We want to talk about some tech. We want to talk about some games. We want to talk about some politics. It's not just all politics.
Jump up, and get down.
Exactly. So on this one, this is a newer story.
Jump.
DeSantis, who is the governor, right, of Florida, could be charged with kidnap after moving migrants to Martha's Vineyard. Have you heard about this?
I have not.
Well, you are...
we talking like Martha Stewart's Vineyard, or...
No, it's an island off the coast of Maryland, I want to say. Might be wrong on that.
I think you're right. No, wait, no, I think it's in Delaware. Not 100%.
Okay.
I'll look it up.
So let's give this a look here. The Department of Justice has been tapped by California governor...
It's off Massachusetts, just south of Cape Cod.
To investigate whether Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' controversial decision to send 2 flights of migrants north would amount to kidnapping. I strongly urge the U.S. Department of Justice to open an investigation into possible criminal or civil violations of federal law based on this alleged fraudulent scheme. Governor Newsom wrote in a 15th of September letter addressed to U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland. On Wednesday afternoon, 50 migrants arrived at an airport on Martha's Vineyard after being brought there under a plan that the Republican Florida governor later confirmed was part of the state's relocation program to transport illegal immigrants to sanctuary destinations. The governor's communication director, Taryn Fensky, told Fox News Digital. Images of the people who had reportedly been lured onto planes from the shelters in Texas under false promises of jobs and housing dominated the news cycle as critics, immigration activists, and later the White House labeled it as a dangerous stunt. The Democratic governor, who may speculate could make a run for president in 2024, quickly turned his emotional response to the new story into a political one by flagging his concerns of the Department of Justice that the Republican governor's actions might not just be morally reprehensible, but illegal. Several of the individuals who were transported to Martha's Vineyard have alleged that a recruiter induced them to accept the offer of travel based on false representations that they would be transported to Boston and would receive expedited access to work authorization, wrote Mr. Newsom. Along the chief concerns outlined in the letter, the Democrat asked that the DOJ investigate whether the alleged fraudulent inducement would support charges of kidnapping under relevant state laws. In addition to the kidnapping probe, the governor also asked that the department investigate whether the alleged targeting of migrants based on their national origin constituted a civil rights conspiracy. So yeah, a few other details that article didn't quite go into that I found over in my research is that this stunt cost taxpayers $14 million. That's 14 with fucking 6 zeros behind it, $1 million.
Wow, that's a lot of zeros, dude.
So this is the thing, and I've seen the biggest critique that I've seen, beyond it being honestly kind of racist and a bit ridiculous. Here we are, we just criticize people for throwing the racist word around too much, but I think this one it's applicable a bit. In the state with one of the lowest teacher pay, percentage wise, they pay their teachers the least, almost the least. They're 47 out of 50. They had enough money to spend 14 million taxpayer dollars on essentially using migrants for a political statement. So pretty messed up. Pretty messed up.
Did it cost $14 million to send that many migrants a few states north?
Yes.
Must use a private jet or something.
Because it was like a whole operation. They had to keep them in a place and they had to filter them out to there. And there's also been accusations too of other, similar situations, but they were using buses instead of, airplanes or whatever. So pretty scandalous, we'll just say.
If they use this bus, it'd be a lot faster.
I don't know if it'd be
it's
safer
pretty
though.
Slow, actually. We have another cat in our midst here. This is Loki.
Oh.
If you know Lily, the kitten that is oftentimes on my lap, that's her daddy.
Comments, concerns of Ron DeSantis using taxpayer dollars to fly a bunch of migrants to Martha's Vineyard.
Let's just kill every senator.
Catch you later, Ryosaki.
All right, Ryo,
eat the
good
rich.
to see you again. Have a good one. But yeah, no, seriously, can we just, purge the entire U.S. government of everybody over the age of 65?
Hippity hoppity, abolish private property.
Exactly.
We're getting all the kitties on camera.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got one more. No, two more. Let's talk about this EVGA situation. I'll read this one because this one hits home for me. I was just talking to Schloob, I think today about it earlier, or was it last night? I can't remember.
Might have been yesterday.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was last night. Yeah.
So this one hit me in the feels, man. I'm not one that like really roots for companies on a regular basis, but it turns out EVGA is reportedly so sick of working with Nvidia that it's going to stop making graphics cards altogether. I've dead serious been buying strictly EVGA graphics cards since I've been building computers, and I graduated high school 2004. This kind of sucks. Like, what fucking brand am I going to use now? First world problems, I guess. But let me get into the article real quick, and then we can have some further discussion. So
if I can find
We got Wish.
yeah, Wish. Get the fuck. One of
I buy Asus.
Asus.
Asus
Yeah.
would be who I would buy now, honestly.
See, I still have the box for my graphics card.
Yeah. Noise.
Yeah, I keep all the boxes from all my computer components now for some reason. I don't know why. You okay there, Schloobs?
You just
were
love it.
What?
bouncing around over there.
You can't really see it because the camera's turned out, but I'm
You got those
trying.
vibrating butt plugs?
I do, in fact. No. So the car I'm trying to load right now is like a modded car that has a shit ton of horsepower, and my steering wheel's going crazy, and I'm trying to hold on to it so I can select the map and go back to where I started on this thing. But there we go.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
you're not fooling us, dude. You're cheating at chess.
Yep.
It's just rocking me around. But
all right.
anyways, I mean, I can't remember the last time I didn't buy an EVGA GPU, honestly. To me, they were the best board partner that NVIDIA had. They had the trade up program, which basically meant that if you bought your GPU and all of a sudden NVIDIA was like, surprise, and came out with the next generation of CPU, if it had only been a certain amount of time, you could basically give your current GPU back and get reimbursed for the price of that and get a new GPU. And if there was a cost difference, you paid that cost difference, but you got paid, or you got the value of what you paid for your GPU to get that new one. They also just had really good warranty support.
Yeah.
I think for people who, I'm mainly mentioning this because there may be people in the room that recently bought a very expensive GPU within the last week or so, just before this news hit. But apparently EVGA has actually made plans because they have a very good idea of what their failure rate of their GPUs are. 3080s and 30 series of GPUs have been out for a long time already. Well, not for a long time, for about a year already. So they have a pretty good idea of like what the failure rate looks like. So they have backstock that's already set up to cover any warranty repair or any warranty covers that they might have to take care of in that said time period. So they're still selling out the stock that they have. Like you can still go out and buy a 30 series EVGA GPU right now, and they say that they're going to continue to honor the warranty no matter what. They're not getting rid of the company or anything like that. They make other stuff. They make power supplies, which are pretty good.
Yeah.
They make. I'm trying to think of what else they make right now, but power supplies is like the main thing that comes to mind. I know they make some accessories and stuff like that, but I think they're just going to kind of change what they do. And hopefully, I think what this leads to is just a improvement as far as how board partners are treated by NVIDIA. But really what it comes down to is NVIDIA used to essentially provide all their board partners with like, hey, this is the GPU reference design. You can't modify it beyond these certain aspects, but here's the design that you're going to base your design off of. And then you throw your cooler or whatever on it. So like whenever Nvidia sells their GPU themselves, that very first card that gets made, that's called a reference card. That's the card that all the other GPU builders use as a reference to decide how they want to make their board. Nvidia has gotten a lot stricter as far as how much they can deviate from that original reference design. And then all of a sudden, with the 10 series GPUs, they were like, hey, guess what? We're now also selling our own GPUs, and we're not only giving it to board partners. And so you have all these board partners that are like, now we're suddenly competing with the person that sells us our GPU designs. Like,
Yeah.
we're supposed to be partners in business, and now they're also our competitor. So to me, this isn't like a surprising move. It's surprising that it happened, but when you think about it, it's not that surprising. So hopefully this leads to Nvidia being less I don't know, money hungry.
We can only hope.
Yeah.
I feel like I just spilled a bunch of information there. So hopefully, I don't know what you guys think, but
Well, let's just read through here a portion of this article real quick. So this is from PCGamer.com. One of the most important makers of NVIDIA-based graphics cards won't be making them anymore. EVGA has decided not to produce video cards with NVIDIA's next generation of GPUs, the RTX 40 series, reports analyst John Petty. The news is even bigger than that, though. Speaking to Gamers Nexus, EVGA CEO Andrew Han said that, or maybe it's Andrew Han, said that the California-based company isn't just skipping the next generation of NVIDIA chips, but will completely stop making graphics cards moving forward. EVGA has been making graphics cards since it was founded in 1999, going all the way back to NVIDIA's Riva TNT2 chips. But Han wouldn't even entertain the idea of working with Intel or AMD to continue producing cards, says Gamers Nexus. EVGA's decision is at least partially the result of frustration over its treatment by Nvidia. According to both sources, it's about respect, Gamers Nexus said. Graphics cards are reportedly 80% of EVGA's current business, but that doesn't mean it plans to close up shop because of its split with Nvidia. It told Gamers Nexus that it doesn't even have layoffs planned, which is kind of surprising. But once EVGA finishes selling off its stock of RTX 30 series cards,
Jesus Christ. Sorry, go ahead.
It will focus on its other products, which include motherboards, power supplies, and other PC components and peripherals. The majority of EVGA's revenue comes from the sales of its NVIDIA graphics cards right now, but Han told Gamers Nexus that the margin is incredibly thin and that EVGA makes 300% more profit on power supplies. Even so, it isn't entirely clear how EVGA will ditch the largest part of its business without laying off any employees, including staff members currently dedicated to graphics card engineering and support. Attrition is expected, says Gamers Nexus. So, yeah, like I'm a little bit shook by that. I've bought Nvidia pretty well exclusively across the board, and not having them as my planned to pretty well generally be my next graphics card is a little weird. It kind of leaves me feeling exposed a bit.
I honestly can't say I feel the same way as you. Being that I'd buy a graphics card once every 3 or 4 years, if that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't constantly look for the newest and best and
I mean, I don't either. I just upgraded to this 3080 Ti after which I upgraded from a 1070. Regular.
I mean,
it's non-Ti. So
I typically upgrade every other release cycle. Try to hopefully land on the talk rather than the tick, but it's been very difficult to guess which is going to be which nowadays. But
yeah.
Speaking of ticking and talking, Schloobs, if I might just ask, is that game the one wherein you can like adjust the gravity and stuff of the place and like see how far a car would go with, say, Jupiter's gravity?
Yep. So you can do pretty much. I mean, it's Jesus Christ. Apparently this car has nitrous too. I don't know if you want to put me on full screen or not, Jason, but you can see what my wheel is doing here with this car.
I think
We got a pretty good idea.
I don't think
It's
I
making
can
you shake like you've got vibrating
without
anal
setting up
beads.
a new scene. Wasn't
So I don't know.
expecting.
I thought it looked like you had a scene that was like bigger, but like if I hold on to this fucking thing, it's kind of scary. But apparently, this car has nitrous, and I've been like trying to. Oh Jesus Christ! Slowly take it to, where I can actually drive it off of this giant ass ramp here.
The giant ass ramp. How does that feel?
Well, you know,
That's funny.
anal beads, right? Well,
That's right.
But
Why-
so
Stop.
this car has 15,000 horsepower, supposedly.
15,000.
Trying to like not destroy it, like just getting to the ramp, and then it also has nitrous. So I'm gonna try and use that somehow now, but and I blew up the engine. But
That's funny.
it's literally
Let's expand
shaking
this
my
out.
entire rig here. But anyways, but yeah, I like to get when I buy a GPU, I like to get the newest one that I can, but it really just kind of depends. Oh, you can actually see it now. I mean, like literally, it's just fucking shaking me. But try this one more time and see if I can not blow the car up. But I can't believe this car has nitrous. But oh, I did that too fast. Hold on.
Kind of did that on the fly.
Jesus. All right. So the trick here is to not die. But... All right, here we go.
Yeah, the trick here is to not die.
Car looks pretty touchy, I'm just saying. Oh! Dang, man. Boom! You bounced so high, your character would have totally died.
No, I had a roll cage. But anyways.
A roll cage would definitely have stopped that.
Oh yeah.
Fake.
doubt
This
it.
game's obviously fake. A roll cage would have stopped any real damage.
Right?
But sorry, I had to kill the engine there so that it would stop trying to fucking break my arms here.
All right. Well, we've got one last thing here. We need to issue a correction from our last podcast. So, last podcast we were talking about a book that was released by J.K. Rowling under the pen name Robert Galbraith. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but anyway, Galbraith. We made a mention saying that Robert Galbraith was the inventor of, conversion therapy. So I actually, we have Dylan here that's going to provide a little bit more context, but I just pulled up a quick just a hot, quick second to give a little brief background of Robert Galbraith Heath. So technically, Robert would have been called Robert Heath, which might be a little bit, could be easily misconstrued or whatever. So we just wanted to issue a correction that technically it would be Robert Heath, and maybe there's not such a high chance of association with J.K. Rowling wanting to name for her pen name, her fictitious pen name, rather, the guy who made conversion therapy. But anyway,
It's her real pen name.
I mean, I get that, but it's first name, middle name, not really first name, last name. So it's really kind of like a loose association. So still kind of suspicious, but a loose association. Anyway, Heath founded the Department of Psychiatry of Neurology at Tulane University in New Orleans in 1949. Remained its chairman until 1980. He performed many experiments there involving electrical stimulation of the brain via surgically implanted electrodes. He placed deep brain stimulation, DBS, electrodes into the brains of more than 54 patients. Indeed, he has been cited as the first, or one of the first researchers to have placed electrodes deep into the brains of living human patients. It has been suggested that his work has financed, in part, or was financed in part by the government, particularly the CIA or U.S. military. In 1972, he claimed to have converted a homosexual man to heterosexuality using DBS. Heath also experimented with the drug bulbocapnine to induce stupor and LSD using prisoners in the Louisiana State Penitentiary as experimental subjects. He worked on schizophrenia patients, which he regarded as an illness with a physical basis. Today's Heath work is considered highly controversial and is only rarely used as reference material. So, given that kind of just brief situation or topic, I wanted to actually talk with Dylan because he has a few things prepared, in regards to the history of conversion therapy, and I think it'd be kind of cool just to hear kind of a little bit more of a researched mind on this particular subject. So go ahead and let us know what you got there, Dylan.
Okay, so first I'm going to share my screen so that way everybody's on the same page as me. So that way I don't want people to think that I'm just, making this crap up. Okay, so number one, I did create a paper back in my, I am a psychology major from Culver Stockton College in Canton, Missouri. I do have a degree in Bachelor's of Science in Psychology, and I am currently in school for my master's in Master's of Arts in Mental Health Counseling. So with that said, the thing with conversion therapy is that the big thing that we need to realize about conversion therapy, for one, it's not a real it's a scientifically proven method of healing. It isn't. It never was. And just to go into the scientific aspect of it. So I don't know if you can see my paper here. But when we talk about conversion therapy has actually been used not only here in the United States, but it's been used in other places as well. Like for example, there was a huge, and by huge I mean disgustingly huge event going on in Africa, known as the 11 Aversion Project. So in short, the 11 Version Project was taking place in Africa, and specifically in the south part of Africa and in Western Africa. And what was going on was there was political turmoil between the two. And not only was there turmoil, there was a lot of biological warfare going on during this time.
Yeah.
And what was going on was there was a lot of use of conversion therapy, of course, and not only that, but there was also a lot of forced sex changes amongst the people and the soldiers. So this was known as the apartheid era, which was an era of segregation between, of course, the South and the West. And the word apartheid means apart, is what it means. So with that said, what they were doing so it was mainly South Africa, according to what I found from Kaplan 2001, that the SADF, or the South African Defense Force, and minority of the cases of the patients that they had were also drug addicted patients as well, but majority of them were just either soldiers or citizens that were considered LGBTQ.
Yeah.
And what they did to them was not only did they use conversion therapy, they also used forced sex changes, but it was mainly on the females that got the sex changes. The males didn't really get the sex change operations. It was mainly for the females, but the males, however, were very much forced into conversion therapy against their will. For example, they were forced to watch pornographic films and images of women. They were also forced, and what happens was that they showed any erection towards homosexual images of porn, they would be shocked in shock treatment until they were converted. So that just goes to tell you, needless to say, how unethical and how just inhumane that is. And
Right.
and the why this is called the 11 Version Project is because when the investigation was first launched, it had ties to this doctor who was part of the SADF named Dr. Aubrey Levin. Dr. Aubrey Levin, I'm sorry. And Dr. Aubrey Levin was apparently a psychologist who had multiple accusations coming to him that involved with the Levin Diversion Project. He ran War 22 at one military hospital in, I think it's it's a really weird name, Vucharikogi, I think is how you say it, which had a villainous and diabolical reputation from the get-go anyways. Not to mention, he wasn't alone on this. 24 other doctors were tied with Dr. Levin's Levin Reversion Project. So that's one example of how inhumane this so-called conversion therapy is. It's very inhumane, and also it's been shown by data in case studies that it has never worked. Another example here, there's another person that people would argue is the inventor of the conversion therapy, and his name is Dr. Joseph Nicolosi. As I stated in my paper, it isn't clear who founded the conversion therapy, but many would argue that it was Dr. Joseph Nicolosi. And the reason why that they would give credit to him is because not only did he also perform conversion therapy himself, he also created a book called A Parent's Guide to Preventing Homosexuality and Shame Attachment Loss, the practical work of reparative therapy. He also had supposedly, I don't know how this was peer reviewed, because there's obviously a lot of bias, and in peer review articles there isn't supposed to be any bias of any sort. Yeah. But apparently he had peer-reviewed articles on his experimentation of curing the urge of homosexuality, supposedly. So with that said, he was known, and because of all of this, he was known as a pioneer of history of psychology due to his works in conversion therapy. He worked at the Thomas Aquinas Clinic as a clinical director and was one of the three founders of the National Association for Research and Therapy of Homosexuality, also known as NARTH. Dr. Nicolosi did pass away. He passed away 5 years ago in 2017. And on his gravestone he was known as the Warrior of Truth because of his achievements. So with that said, the reason why people are giving him credit to be the founder of conversion therapy is because not only because of his accomplishments, he did create NARTH, but however, NARTH, the other employees that worked at NARTH, aside from Dr. Nicolosi himself, they actually did not do. They were actually reported to not have done any conversion therapy of their own. It was only Dr. Nicolosi himself. And that's just society having, shown its tendency to give recognition to those who do a certain task better instead of giving credit to the discoverer. So, but like I said, there's really no concrete evidence or proof as to who founded the conversion therapy thing here. But sure. It is worth mentioning that Dr. Joseph Nicolosi could possibly be one of them for the fact that, again, he created his own. He created his own association. He actually does have credibility in his background, but what he did wasn't exactly of course ethical, and a lot of the stuff that he apparently that he did research on and created, he didn't exactly have a lot of scientific and empirical data to actually solidify his data to make it more credible and more believable. So with that said, the APA overall, and just in case for those who don't know who the APA are, the APA is the American Psychological Association. They are like the authority on psychology in America. Right. They make the rules about counseling, what type of therapies, the code of ethics, code of conduct, all of that. That's all created by the APA. And the American Psychological Association is the heart of all psychology. It is. And not to mention they've created systems as well as knowledge, as well as they were also part of scientific discoveries, research, and also the holder of every historical archive that involves psychology and any other experiments, whether they were ethical experiments or unethical experiments. So so this will, of course, ask the question: what does the APA say about conversion therapy? Well, conversion therapy, according to Kennedy in 2015, conversion therapy is not is looked at not only as an unethical form of therapy, but it's also an illegitimate and as well as a very useless therapy in APA standards. The APA reports that the conversion therapy has no credible scientific evidence, and due to its incredibility, the therapy is no longer being used by behavioral health experts. It's also worth mentioning that those who do struggle with sexual identity with or without experiencing the conversion therapy prior has had detrimental effects to overall mental well-being. The conversion therapy was never shown to actually work, and therefore also lacks scientific support. There was never any scientific evidence to start that gender identity and sexual preferences can be manipulated by means of therapy or medicine. There never was, and there still isn't, as far as I'm aware, that is. The conversion therapy has done more harm than it has done anything else due to reports of increased depression and suicidal tendencies in LGBTQ adolescents who have gone through conversion therapy. One of the APA members, Director Judith M. Glassgold, advises parents to do not reject their children due to sexual orientation or identity, regardless of religious beliefs. This also has a very degrading and very crippling impact on the children's mental health and mental stability. As a matter of fact, the Obama administration during Barack Obama's presidency has classified this practice as a fraudulent practice, and was, last time I checked when I did this paper, they were looking to have conversion therapy banned in the United States, in all 50 states. So with that said, there was also, and of course, religion had, of course, played a big role in why homosexuality and bisexuality and transgenderism was, of course, looked so poorly.
Yeah, with the
Well, the
stigma.
thing is, though, yeah, the stigma, exactly. But the thing is, though, there was a person that I also found during my research that actually looked into that particular part of the Bible about homosexuality in the Bible. And actually, for number one, I'm trying to find it here, because I asked, because in one of my segments is called "Is Homosexuality a Sin?" Well, as we all know, it's a sin simply because of the fact that it's considered an abomination, and because back in
cares
the
if it's a
time,
sin? Is what I'll ask.
And back in biblical times, some of them did use that to worship gods, deities, or demon gods, whatever you want to call them. So therefore, they were persecuted or even killed or shunned by society for this because it was considered witchcraft. But however, of course, Christianity has, of course, done some pretty evil things back in its day too. So of course, there is the oxymoron here. But however, the question to ask is homosexuality truly a sin according to the Bible, no matter what the situation is? And is it always a sin no matter what? Well, it says in the book of Leviticus, chapter 18, verse 23, that no man shall ever have intercourse with another male because it is an abomination. But that's all it says. The scripture does not specify or elaborate as to why it is, other than the fact that it was because people used it for rituals. That was it. That was literally the only thing that they were standing on. So according to News in 2015, the text throughout the Holy Bible does not condemn homosexual couples for just being homosexual. And not to mention, News also mentions that the Apostle Paul constantly condemns homosexuality between males, but barely speaks about anything about women, as if homosexuality between women compared to men does not offend.
Because
Doesn't that?
lesbians are hot.
So that right there is another hypocrisy. So why is the Bible shaming, constantly harping on men to not do so, but they barely spoke about women? Yeah, that's a little interesting right there. But and now while majority of cultures, or wherever you want to call them, have rejected the very idea of homosexuality and transgenderism, there were a couple that did accept it and actually very widely embraced it, like the Native American tribes. Native American tribes were even one of the civilizations that Christianity was responsible of pretty much decimating, because they thought, hey, you guys don't worship the same God as us, and you're doing a bunch of witchcraft, and we actually like it here, so we're going to take your land away, okay? But if you give up your way of living, you can join us. And as you know, the Indians didn't go down. The Indians, I'm sorry, the natives did not. They did not go down without a fight, obviously.
Right.
But however, what the natives did when they had people in their tribe that were LGBTQ, they were called two-spirited people. Two-spirit people. According to Shepard and Mayo Jr. in 2013, those who were two-spirited were actually very highly revered in their tribes. They were considered one of the most gifted of their tribes because those who possessed two spirits often became great shamans or priests of their tribe. The two-spirited often played crucial roles in their tribes, from being the best medics to the best spiritualists. And they also were hunters, and they also did cooking of the meat too, of what they hunted. They could do the men's job and the women's job at the same time. That's why they were so highly valued, because they could do both women tasks and men tasks. Because they did have somewhat of gender roles, but they didn't exactly harp on it and exaggerate it like we do in our society to an extent. So with that said, they pretty much rejected the concept of gender roles, because no matter what the member of their tribe is identified as, it was all based on being accepted of others and putting their talents to good use for the betterment of their tribe. That's all there is to it, and that's how it should be for any civilization that exists through this world. So, in conclusion, conversion therapy is not a credible. It's not scientifically credible. It's quite fraudulent, and it is quite faulty. And in fact, it has killed more people because of suicide attempts than it has helped. Not to mention, it is the only recorded therapy in American psychology history to have no scientific data or backup or any form of good outcomes compared to others like personal centered therapy or PCT or existential therapy, ET. So with that said, because mainly conversion therapy was pretty much praying the gay away, and they also starved these people too. So because they said that it would humble their souls, and it would also put them in a hallucination to convince them that they are not gay, they are straight, because if they are gay, they are bound to be condemned for all eternity. So again, that goes to show that it's, compared to other therapies out there, it's very unethical. They're starving them, they're depriving them of basic human needs just so they don't be in love with the same gender. And at the same time, pornography is supposed to be a sin, but they're using pornography to make them into something they're not.
Right. Well, thanks,
And
Dylan, for that. That's quite a bit of information there. But yeah, I figured it would be worthwhile to kind of touch on that. Very often in the mainstream, a lot of very detailed topics, like what Dylan just shared with us, get kind of glossed over. And that's why sometimes it's worthwhile to have somebody who's done the research to kind of, broaden that scope a little bit and provide a little bit more information as to the history of it, as well as, what the impacts have been, and, that type of thing. So, all right. Well, that is the end of all of our stories for today. So we're going to go ahead and do quick roundtable and get some final comments here. So, Shaloub, what do you got? Oh, hold on. I think I have you muted because you were echoing. Hold on.
Am I still
Okay,
muted?
you're good. You're good. Sorry.
Hello? Hello? Can you guys hear
My
me?
bad. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. My arms hurt now.
It was beating you up.
I feel like fucking was basically put my hands through a blender here, but yeah. I don't know. I just figured I'd try and do something experimental with trying to do the driving while we did the stream, to see if like I could focus on both at the same time. There's a few times where I maybe missed a couple things just because of focusing on what I was doing here, but I got some more plans as far as trying to integrate some cool, like, I don't know, things that we might be able to do during the stream. Maybe we
Yeah.
should try doing some challenges or something like that. something to spice things up. So
Yeah. Mike, what do you got?
Wash those balls.
Wash them good. Wash them real good. What do you got, Dylan? You still there?
Yeah, sorry, I had my stuff muted, so I didn't because I had to see something on my phone real quick. I really don't have much to say. But it was fun being back. I'm sorry I missed the last two because I've had a lot of shit going on in the past month. I got my school started finally. I'm adjusting okay, and I got a new job too, so I had to get adjusted to the new schedule and get that worked out. So, but it's good to be back, and I do appreciate you guys let me have my own segment for a topic that I did a lot of deep research on, and I've spent probably about a minimum of 3 to like 6 hours, minimum of 3, maximum like 6 to 7 hours in the psychology lab on campus every night doing research on this shit. So it was a lot of work.
For sure. For sure, I appreciate that.
Do you have a
though.
green screen of your own face?
I have a B-roll that I'm playing for my YouTube channel in the background right now. And I forgot that I had a test of some OBS stuff I was doing on there that was
Some
my
OBS
face. So
stuff.
Yeah, so I was like, "Oops!" That's why I just skipped it. But yes, that was me in the background as well. But I've sent you guys actually that video before. It was the news program idea that we had.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, well, I'm going to switch to the audience real quick. If this is content that you like, please hit that like and subscribe button. We're on Twitch, we're on Facebook. We post-edit this and put it onto YouTube in kind of like a split-up format, but we do post this entire broadcast, mostly unedited, also to YouTube. So if there's ever a case where, oh man, he didn't catch the live broadcast, I usually do post the entire podcast up there. So be sure to check it out. And as always, thanks for watching. We will catch you on the next one.
Do you mean mostly unedited? Because sometimes we say shit at the end that we're not supposed to.
I've been trying to edit out the bad words as much as I can. I don't catch every single one of them, but I try to just mute them out.
Ass and titties. Ass and titties.
All right, well, that's all we got for today. Thanks everybody for joining. Obviously, Ryosaki is gone, but thanks to Ryosaki for being in the chat. That was really neat. But yeah, we will be back in 2 weeks for the podcast. But next week you can catch us playing some sort of video game on the same time slot.
Are you? Do you smell burnt toast right now?
No, I do not. I do not.
You made fun of yourself for jumbling your words, and then you jumbled it again.
I was making fun of myself.
But then you did it again.
Yeah, to make fun of myself. All right.
Sure.
And with that, we're going to the extra. Later.
Bye.